open to anyone, all around the world.
There's no way.
The Chess.com Global Championship offers the dream of playing against the best.
We are in for a wild ride.
And hey, have we mentioned there's also $1 million at stake?
The total pot is $1 million.
No, that is not a typo. The prizes are unbelievably generous.
The CGC knockout phase has hit crunch time. We began with thousands of players, now only a handful remain.
This is the most lethal way to convert things. And GG, a win for Duda, Robert.
He is the winner of his group.
No matter who you are, things are about to get very, very real.
It's a huge collapse from Caruana.
It all went downhill. And Dmitry Andreykin punches his ticket in unreal fashion.
At stake, a trip to the finals in Toronto and a clean shot at the largest first place prize of the year.
A brilliant game.
And that is a ticket booked.
My friends, it's the CGC round of 16. Who's headed to Toronto? It's time to find out.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Chess.com Global Championship presented by Brave. This is the round of 16. Today we will figure out who rounds out the bracket and who are the final two who will be booking their tickets to Toronto. I'm your host, Grandmaster Daniel Naroditsky. Alongside me today, the man, the myth, the legend, International Master Levy Rosman. Levy, top of the morning to you. Are you as excited as I am about the two matches that we have in front of us today?
Yeah, I'm super excited. Listen, it's been months of this event, from the qualifying stage now down to this round of 16 before we all go to Toronto to watch 8 of the world's best try to become the first Chess.com Global Champion presented by Brave. I don't know if the title is also going to be presented by Brave, but let's just say it is. Today, we've got our remaining 2 matches. Okay, so today we've got 4 guys, and they are fighting for 2 spots to round out our round of 8. I'm super excited. We've got a lot of different interesting storylines to get into, but before we do that, I'll let you take us through some of the logistics.
Indeed. Well, we will start with the round of 16 bracket, but before that, we wanted to give a quick shout out to our friends at Brave, who will be with us as our presenting sponsor for the rest of the CGC, including all the way through to Toronto. We are excited to have Brave with us. We are also excited to be viewing the round of 16 bracket, as some of the players have already booked their tickets. Anish Giri, Levon Aronian, Hikaru Nakamura, JKD, Wesley So, and Dmitry Andreykin will be with us in Toronto, but the other 2 spots are up for grabs. Levy, when you look at this bracket, what are your sort of general thoughts? What words come to mind when you look at the blood that has been spilled thus far?
Well, I think in terms of blood spilled, it's, moves on an online digital board and then folks sort of very calmly and gently logging off of a computer. But yes, it's definitely been a crazy ride up until this point. We can start anywhere, but if we just start on the left side of the screen, it's everything that you would expect. You would expect certain people like Hikaru and young Krzysztof Duda to be seated as number 1, and they emerge as the winners of their group without a huge struggle much at all. You go a little bit further down, Wesley So winning the closest of matchups. You could even argue he should have lost that match to Jeffrey Zhang. Well, he didn't, all right? He disappointed you, and he snatched victory from the jaws of defeat to emerge. Dmitry Andreykin, on the other hand, has just been incredible, winning in 3 versus Fabiano Caruana. You look at the right side of your screen, Pankratov was the Cinderella story. Anish Giri put that story to bed and kissed it goodnight, as Anish has been incredible to watch in all of his matchups, winning matches with really no struggle whatsoever. And now today, he's going to be keenly observing Nepo versus Rajabov. Dingley Ren versus Nihal Sarin is fascinating, Danya, because one thing that we discovered that maybe nobody in the chat even knows yet is they have never played a chess game against each other. Is that real?
I'm just like, I hear that said every time, and it doesn't register in my mind. And we will get to all of the stats from their individual matchups. Today, we have indeed 2 matches. Dingley Ren against Nihal Sarin, never faced off before, and Jan Nepomniachtchi against Timur Rajabov, who have faced off many times before. Both of these are elder statesmen. They are over 30 years old, but if you just look at the moves that they play, you will realize that they may be advanced in age. Okay, that's kind of false as well, but they are most certainly not losing the fire on the chessboard. Levy, I mean, we've had days with 4 matches. Today we have 2 matches, but it's really not about the quantity of matches. The quality of today's matches is going to be incredibly high.
Yeah, it's going to be incredibly high, even if it will be geriatric in your own words. No, I'm just kidding.
Extremely. They're playing from the old folks' home, actually.
Yeah. They just checked into the retirement home, basically. We've got 2 really interesting storylines, but before we do that, just take a step back. We've got 4 names on this screen. 3 of them just played in the candidates. The entire allure of the CGC has been who is going to be the new fresh talent that emerges, who is going to be the interesting story. Nihal Sarin just beat a multiple-time world champion, and he is, in my opinion, a top 4, top 5 blitz player in the world when you talk about 3-0, especially in the online format. Number 3 is probably sitting right here on the screen with me. That's really the fascinating thing here. We don't know Nepo, Rajabov, Dingliren, Nihal Sarin. I don't know what will happen in these matchups, but I can definitely tell you that I keenly await to see if Nihal Sarin will be that name, if he is going to be that guy, the young teenager from India who is supposed to be the prodigy, supposed to be the future. Well, let's see it today. Dingliren's the 2nd best chess player in the world in classical and a world championship contender. Let's not forget.
No, what an incredible 4 players we have on display today. Let's take a look at the individual matchup cards, starting with the match between Jan Nepomniachtchi, a.k.a. Nepo, and Timur Radjabov. Jan, well, he's not used to being the younger of the 2, but Timur Rajabov at 35 years old has over 20 years of experience at the very highest level. He defeated Garry Kasparov in a classical game of chess in 2003, and ever since he has just sat firmly among the highest echelons of chess power. Their head-to-head score, a lot of draws. Nepo leads significantly, both in rapid. He's won 1 classical game and never lost in classical. Levy, we're not debating that Nepo is the favorite here. He is the favorite, especially after his recent string of incredible performances, which never seems to stop. But Timur Rajabov, one of those guys who is consistently underrated, even though his resume is unimpeachable.
No, it's not. Yes, it is. No, it's not unimpeachable. I don't know. There's too many yeses and nos in there. But yeah, it's essentially, in short, I completely agree. And once these guys are done getting their hip replacement surgery, because they're so old, as you said,
that was good.
They're gonna, I'm sure they're going to bring their best chess today. Listen, Jan, I chose in our bracket preview several months ago to win this entire event. And to win this entire event, you have to win your group. To win your group, you have to beat Rajabov. The logic speaks for itself. I'm not picking a favorite in this matchup. I'm simply saying that one man right now, I think, is playing at just a slightly higher level, which is all you need at the top 10, top 5 of the world. And this is going to be a super close matchup. It might get decided with 4 combative draws and then an Armageddon. But this is what we came to see. Number 1 versus number 2. It literally doesn't get any closer than that.
It does not. And the other matchup, well, you could argue that it's more lopsided as the Chinese number 1, Dingliren, faces Nihal Sarin. But anybody who has spent any amount of time in the online chess landscape, Levy, you pointed out that Nihal Sarin, definitely, I would say, top 5 3+0 players online. His performances in the JSCC, in the SCC, where he defeated the likes of Alexander Grishuk, they speak for themselves, and they do not happen by accident. And let's not pretend that Nihal Sarin is not an incredible over-the-board player, that his opening repertoire is not at a 2,700 level, because it most certainly is. He might not have crossed 2,700 FIDE just yet, but nobody wants to face Nihal Sarin in an important match. Do you agree with that sentiment?
I think except maybe for Dingliren, right? I feel like some of these players, they're not afraid of their opposition. They're not afraid of the young guys. The most fascinating thing about this player card is have not played H2H. Like, they should have just put NA. There's no data available. And the craziest thing is they've never played Blitz and they've never played Bullet. If you do a search on Chess.com between Nihal Sarin and Chef's House, which is Dingliren's username, it's literally nothing. They have never played, that's so crazy. That's like, that doesn't happen. Name another top 50 matchup. Well, I don't know. Maybe there's going to be way more than we expect. But the fact that these guys have literally never played against each other, this is so fascinating. I have absolutely no clue what to expect. Will Dingliren just basically do the 2,800 level thing and just steamroll? Will Nihal Sarin put up a fight? He put up a crazy fight against Vladimir Kramnik. I don't know, man. I'm so glad we're here. I've got just I've got no expectations for this match. I'm just going to let the moves take us along this journey.
I mean, it's going to be incredible. The community is pumped for these matches as well. They have assigned very clear favorites. The community has spoken. They think Ding Liren and Jan Nepomniachtchi are going to be the final two players who booked their tickets to Toronto. 96% Levy. That's a pretty drastic prediction. I get it. Jan is Jan. He is a very safe bet. Levy, I think he was your bet to win the entire event in our pre-CGC predictions. But, man, the crowd seems really confident that we won't have an upset today.
I was trying to sneak in
Don't
some
drink
iced
your...
coffee.
No. Don't you dare. I saw what you were doing there. That's why I stopped talking.
I was trying to get it in before we got back on screen. I saw the full screen. Anyway, I was trying to get a little sip of my iced coffee there. But listen, people think that Jan is going to win, right? Whether it's 96% of people or 83% of people, people have favorites in these matchups. I have made fun of some of these predictions because they've been so lopsided, but most of them honestly come true. It doesn't matter if they come true in the Armageddon or they come true in 3 games. Some have been ridiculous. Sevian was one of the famous ones that scored the victory despite being a massive underdog. But if the community thinks you're going to win, you still have to play. Unfortunately, you do not just get to win based on votes. Jan is clearly the favorite. Jan is very clearly the best chess player in the world, in my opinion, not named Magnus Carlsen. You could argue Ding Liren is tied right there with him. So, like I said, you want to win the whole thing, you got to win your group. To win your group, you got to beat Timur.
And to win Timur, you got to beat... No, that logic... See, the problem is that sounded so smooth, and I wanted to continue it, but I can't. And so the big question today, who is going to be on Expedia or on Kayak or on Google Flights this evening looking for tickets to Lester B. Pearson International Airport? Who will it be? Will it be Jan Nepomniachtchi? Will it be Nihal Sarin? Will it be Ding Liren? It's going to be an epic showdown today as we have 2 mouth-watering matchups on the docket. And before we jump in, a quick reminder, ladies and gentlemen, of the format. But before we even do that, Levy, well, any overall thoughts?
My thoughts are that the entire purpose of the Chess.com Global Championship presented by Brave, originally it was just Chess.com Global Championship from conceptualization, now presented by Brave, which obviously is going to be our sponsor to the end of the whole thing. We have been asking the question of who is going to be in the 8, right? Folks, if you got into chess in the last couple of years, or maybe you got into chess prior to that, you know that every event seemingly has the same names in it. Was the CGC going to be a continuation of that? Well, today we have a situation where 3 of 4 just played in the candidates. In fact, 2 of the 4 who are going to be playing today will be playing for the next World Chess Championship match. Will Nihal Sarin spoil the party of the elite chess players as they want to make a final 8 in Toronto? Or will they just assert their dominance, show their strength, and say, we are not ready to give up the old guard? That's what I'm expecting today. What do I expect from the matchup between Nihal versus Ding? I don't know. I'm going to be watching it as a commentator, but more than anything else, I'm going to be watching it as a chess fan. And I'm going to get all their autographs if we can in Toronto. Oh. And one more thing, how the hell did you know the name of the airport in Toronto by heart? Did you just book your tickets?
No, I'm sort of an airport nerd. And when I was a kid, I really liked exploring different airports and what their codes were and what they were called. So I have actually known the Toronto airport name for years. It's one of the ones that I know. The extent of my nerdiness is getting revealed in case anybody had any doubts.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know what I used to do? So I used to be able to walk down the street, and if I saw the edge of a taillight of a car, I could tell you what car it was.
Wow.
So
you're like my brother.
Yeah.
We're long lost brothers. Cars, airports, it's all the same anyway. The format, if you don't know what the format is, then where on earth have you been? But if you aren't joining us late, we wanted to remind you that this is a 4-game match. The time control, 15 minutes with a 2-second increment. The first to 2.5 wins. And in the event of a 2-2 tie, we have an Armageddon where Black receives draw odds. We've had so many Armageddons already, Levy. Everybody loves a good old school Armageddon. Are we going to get one today? Well, there's only one way to find out, isn't there?
Yeah, there is only one way to find out. I'm definitely predicting an Armageddon in the match between Nepo and Timur. I feel like those styles very much cancel each other out. What were their head-to-heads in the candidates, by the way? Did they make 2 draws, or did Nepo win a game?
Something I should have looked up.
Yeah, I feel as though it was 2 draws, but obviously Timur did not win because Nepo hasn't lost a game of Classical, actually. Well, he didn't lose in that event. Yeah, it's going to be 4 rapid games. It obviously could be as short as 3. We've seen matchups here, even in the round of 16, decided in 3 rapid games, such as Levon beating Sevian or such as Andreykin beating Caruana. But overall, as far as I'm concerned, the most interesting matchup, hands down, is Dingley Ren versus Nihal, simply for the fact that we have 2 elite players that have never played against each other.
And I think you're precisely right. And I think those are the 2 things that I pointed out in preparation for the CGC. The 2 things I was looking forward to perhaps the most: generational matchups. Kramnik against Nihal. You know, Vishy Anand, who unfortunately didn't last very long and lost to a player from his generation in Pavel Pankratov, one of the incredible stories of the CGC. Pavel Pankratov is going to be remembered, even though he didn't quite manage to make it into the final 8. But the second thing, Levy, are matchups that have never been held before. We know that in top-level chess, the same people kind of play each other over and over again. It's always interesting, but we don't have enough inflow of slightly lower-rated juniors. That's why tournaments like the Olympiad, where you see unique matchups, and tournaments like the U.S. Championship that we're watching right now, is so interesting. It's not a secret. It's because you have new matches and you have the top guys facing people who are bloodthirsty, who are not afraid of them, and who are looking to show, Levy, that the top 10, isn't like this mystical Mount Olympus that you can't climb to.
Right. That's exactly the case. And I think what's important and what's fascinating about chess here in 2022, almost 2023, is the fact that we've always quantified skill level in chess with ELO. So what your rating is what your strength is. That's not true anymore. That's literally complete nonsense now. We have players who are separated by 150 points who are the same level. We have players who are separated by 150 points. One might be better than the other. One side just might not have an opportunity to play as many games. And one might be hungrier than the other. All right. One might study more than the other. That's just the way it goes. In fact, we're seeing in Classical now, some of the old guard, some of the former number 2, number 3, number 4 players are down to 15 and 16. They're at their lowest rating in years. It's just sort of what happens. It's like the changing of the guard, the young, hungry teenagers with more resources to chess than ever, more access to chess content than ever. And I'm not talking like, my YouTube content no, they probably do watch your speedruns. I feel like they, even if they're 2750, they can learn something from Naroditsky. Absolutely believe that truly in my heart. But end of the day,
you're making me tear up before the games have started.
Well, speaking of which, I'm gonna boost your ego a little bit more. Can you please tell the audience your final score yesterday? Many of you may not know this. Danya played a blitz match yesterday against Magnus Carlsen. And what was the score, Danya?
All right. It was 24.5 to 30.5. Magnus won. I did not manage to win, although I was leading 4.5, 1.5. I took out my phone to shamelessly take some photos when that was happening because I knew the losses would start eventually. But it was 6 hours that I will probably not forget anytime soon.
Yeah. And you went for a 6-hour marathon there with Magnus. You almost split 50%. The third best 3-0 player in the world right here, as far as I'm concerned. I always say it's Magnus, Hikaru, and Naroditsky, and it ain't even close. I think you're the best third. Danya, would you I'm not going to make you agree with this. I'm just going to say this right now. Over any 6-hour period, I think you are the best 30-second player in the world. True or false?
I mean, I think Ali Reza and I would probably split gold.
Okay.
Since Andrew Tang, I would say, used to be better, but Andrew's focusing on slightly more important things like college. So I would probably put myself in the top 3. I'd have to agree with you. As much as I hate it, I know, like, what? Come on, you're not playing 30-second chess all day. What a loser.
Dude, I mean, 30-second, really, it is one of these things that even with consistency, you improve. I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but I remember back in the day, I would just for fun grind an hour or two of 30-second or bullet, and you get rock solid at it. You get super sharp at it. You don't do it for a while. You come back, your hand is slow, your brain is slow, everything is slow. I think we have the players here slowly loading into their games, but Yeah, I mean, in the meantime, you went 50-50 almost with Magnus Carlsen. That's amazing. And take me, you and I discussed this when we recorded the podcast episode together, but like your emotions of like getting the opportunity to just be with Magnus for 6 hours. Like he wants to play you. What does that feel like?
I know a lot of people are just, oh, you're fanboying, you're simping. Like, yes and yes, because this is Magnus Carlsen, the greatest player who's ever lived. So when you hear that accept sound, that Chess.com click when somebody accepts your challenge, I was watching Hikaru's stream, so I assumed somebody had accepted a blitz match against him. And I see, okay, Magnus Carlsen is black, Daniel Naroditsky is white. It takes a second just to register that you are actually playing him. He just accepted a challenge. Drop everything. My phone is off. My other monitor is off. Blinds are closed. The match is on, and I just can't transmit the level of concentration that it takes to literally not lose every game. But that's what I live for. I mean, it produces such a rush. Every second that, he's spending playing you rather than playing somebody else, the way I was thinking about it, I wanted to make it worth his while. Because, he's easily bored. As the greatest player on earth, you're going to be easily bored. And my goal was to keep him interested. I think I managed to do that. And I think these two matches are going to keep us interested because on that note, Levi Rosman, the games have kicked off. Dingley Ren with the white pieces. Thank you for being so kind to me. You are going to be making me blush all coverage long, but I'm going to try to cover the games.
Yeah, we have a Tarrasch defense here from Nihal. I mean, this is like one of the most forceful ways you can play a Queen's Gambit declined. In fact, as early as move 1 and 2, this is not 19th century chess anymore. I mean, d4, d5, c4, e6 is almost very rarely seen, right? Like, if you're going to play e6, d5 nowadays, you're going to do it in a different move order. But this has been seen a handful of times. In fact, Danya, this was seen really recently at some very elite level. What was the game? Do you know what I'm talking about? I swear we just saw this line. Might have even been an over the board.
You're putting me on. I don't remember. Fill me in. Oh,
no,
okay. So you remember that there was a top level game, but you don't remember which one.
Yes. I'm gonna try to find it. Maybe. Let's see. I feel like it happened like a week ago or something.
Okay, very interesting. As you're finding it, we're having a lot of transformations here in the pawn structure. C5, C4 by black. That was a really, really big move. So we're not going to get an isolated queen pawn position, which could have arisen if white had taken the pawn on C5 when he had a chance. But the drawback of this structure is, of course, the D5 pawn, which black must keep as well protected as possible, especially in light of the fact that the knight on F6 is pinned.
Is Dingley Ren about to play F4?
F4.
Oh, never mind. Oh,
whoa! Lots of trades. What do you make of this? Look at black's kingside.
Yeah, black's kingside looking a bit suspicious. Although king h8, rook g8 might be on the way, and Nihal might argue that actually it's white's kingside that looks suspicious. Yeah, I was about to say bishop f3, knight e2 looks really clever to render the bishop on b4 completely useless, but this is a massive, massive risk by Nihal. He's not looking to stabilize with black. He's looking to instigate.
He's looking to win game 1. I mean, it's very, very clear in his opening choice, the way he's playing. He wants to unbalance this game and put Nihal Sarin and put Dingley Ren on the spot for minute 1 of this match. King g7 as he continues to blitz out his moves, Levy. This reeks of preparation. You just don't play a move like this unless you've seen it before, especially not in 2 seconds.
Yeah, he's played every move instantly. Nihal has played this himself in the Olympiad. He played like this, but the game went completely differently. So I think Nihal has some very good preparation here. In fact, he played this against Melkumyan in the Olympiad, and then last year he played this in another over-the-board game, and he beat Parham Maksudlu, like in a classical over-the-board game.
Black in a classical game. Holy smokes.
So Nihal really likes the Tarrasch defense. I mean, he really, really likes it, and wow.
Ooh,
A4.
You almost never see the move A4 played when there is a bishop sitting on B4. Like 99% of the time the A pawn is touched, it goes to A3, Levy.
Yeah, that's a fascinating move. Is the idea like A5? What is the idea? What is it?
So, 2 things. I think maybe one of the ideas is to prevent black from playing B5 so that later on, when white plays the move B3, it comes with greater effect. because black can't easily support the pawn. So maybe we'll see something like rook c1, as weird as it seems, to prepare b3. But I agree with you. A5 definitely was an idea, and that's why Nihal played b6.
Yeah, and Nihal is playing this super aggressively. Okay, bishop back to d6. I mean, listen,
so fast.
I know, so quickly. I wonder what are the next few moves by black. Does black want f5? Is that something that black is interested in?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure that out as well. F5 does hem in the bishop, and I'm partial to this idea of playing rook g8, dropping the king back, and then maybe later down the line having bishop h3 or bishop g4 ideas. Kingside attack along the g file has got to be one of black's main ideas. I mean, why otherwise did you accept the ruin of your own kingside pawn structure? So I'm leaning towards saying no on the f5 front, which is probably why Nihal is going to play f5 on the next one.
Is there b3 here? Or is there no b3 because there's c3, and if knight c3 there's bishop h2?
Ooh,
I don't know.
Let me show that on the analysis board. That's a cool line. I think Ding is going to play b3. So c3, very creative idea. Knight c3, whoop, bishop takes h2.
But yeah, I just don't think it's
off
good.
The knight. Yeah, the problem is, okay, beautiful tactic, very nice, but you're still stuck with the damaged structure. And
yeah,
when you have a damaged structure, most piece trades are going to be in white's favor here because the king on h2 is now feeling phenomenal. So
yeah,
what is Nihal's idea after b3? Levy, maybe he just wants to play rook a c8 to support the pawn.
Mm-hmm.
Takes.
Makes sense. But okay, indeed.
Yeah,
and speaking of but okay, I believe that we have the opening moves, or just about to get underway in the Nepo versus Rajabov matchup. I think all players are already there. Maybe we can pop on over.
Let's pop on over.
Yep, we have actually that was unexpected. Wow.
Whoa. No Catalan.
Yeah, Jan allows a Nimso.
Woo.
Yeah, this is rare
Cool.
because wait a minute, when's the last time Jan allowed a Nimso with white?
I know. And he's been playing the Catalan just automatically, really, in all online events, like exclusively. Preparation, no preparation. Not only does he allow the Nimso, Levy, it's not just a queen c2 Nimso and e3 Nimso. He plays the sharpest line available, the same-ish variation with 4f3. What a choice.
Yeah, this is one of the sharpest lines. It's not good. It's not good for white if your goal is to get an advantage according to Stockfish. There are multiple ways for black to equalize, but it is so sharp. And with modern day technology,
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, no. I'm with you. I was about to say with modern day technology, you can instigate with black, but like as you see, even what was the move there? Like what did the computer hate about that move?
So bishop f4 definitely is the move. And I wasn't just parroting the eval bar, I promise. Bishop f4 is just very rare in this position. The move, let's bring up an analysis board here real fast. Timur reacted too quickly because it appears that after ED-CD, what is the drawback of the bishop on f4? Knight coming to h5. Why is that so dangerous, you might ask? Bishop comes back to e3. Is it because of queen h4 check? No. The bishop dropped back to f2. It's because of f5. And Levy, with white's kingside entirely undeveloped, this is borderline lost. This is so weird.
Yeah, this is super weird.
What's happening?
I don't know. By the way, I just pulled up a stat. The amount of times in his life that Jan Nepomniachtchi has been white in a Nimso is 17 times. That's it. And before 2020, it had happened twice in 2017, and then before that it was 2013, and then back then you're talking 2009, 2008, 2007. So
he never does this.
He never play, and I mean in terms of F3 Nimso, I would probably argue never.
And you know what he's thinking right about now? Why exactly didn't I play the Catalan? Because Timur might not have found the best move, but he has managed to open up the center. You can see the eval bar is absolutely not buying the placement of the bishop on f4, Levy. I mean, that's the drawback of the f3 nim. So you're creating major weaknesses on the king side. And so you need to accelerate your king side development. And I think Nepo just prioritized the wrong thing. He's got the wrong bishop developed.
I mean, certainly this must be planned. Like he must have come to the game ready to play this, right? I don't know.
For Nepo to be spending this long is a sign that things have gone, Mayday, Mayday. Bishop d3, now he starts developing.
I mean, I really wonder, like, can Black start? Yeah, that's the first move I'm thinking about.
Probably
doesn't work.
Still knight h5 and f5 looks very good.
Yeah. Yeah, seriously. I also don't know. Oh, this is weird stuff. I don't know what's going on here. This is not what I expected. But
I know, and just the speed with which he played bishop f4 indicates that it was prep. I think Nepo is beginning to climb out of this. If he can manage to castle, if he can manage to secure the c4 pawn, I think he's going to be fine. But still, definitely an opening scare, and definitely an opening I don't think he's going to be repeating.
Yeah, probably not. I think this was a calculated risk. I think he was like, I'm going to take a lot of risk in game one. And Teimour would, like, if given an opportunity to blow up the position or slowly squeeze it, Teimour's going to slowly squeeze it, right? Like, Nepo will blow up a position if he thinks that he is in a driver's seat. And I think that's sort of the game plan here. I think it's to make a mess and then consolidate the mess and then win, which is really interesting, right? He's basically saying it might be minus 0.8, 0.9, but Teimour is not going to go crazy trying to attack me. He's probably going to try to play slow improving moves and kind of get a positional grind. Well, there's knight h5. So we may have an answer very soon.
Now, insofar as you can talk about, these top players having a weakness, for Teimour, you're absolutely right. The area of the game where he feels less comfortable is in chaotic positions, and that is precisely where Nepo thrives. So the game plan makes sense. The way he's gone about achieving this game plan doesn't make as much sense to me. And Teimour turned a lot of heads when he defeated Ding in 20 moves at the candidates. Teimour was able to show that he's not just going to shy away from tactical positions out of principle. He might take a little bit longer than the average super GM, but he's not going to, trade queens at all costs or shy away from a direct attack against his opponent's king. And I think he's showing that in the way that he's playing here. Knight f6 to h5. His intentions are pretty violent here.
Yep, they are pretty violent. f5 and queen h4 are on the way. I mean, Teimour made as many improving moves as possible, and he basically ran out of them. The next thing that he had to do was get his knight involved on the h5 square. I really wonder what happened in this game. Like, when Jan played this opening very quickly, what was he expecting compared to what he got now? I don't know, because I spent like 10 hours last year studying the f3 Nimso with white, and it was just a total knife's edge of a position. If you even at some moments get out of prep in this opening and don't do the right thing, you're just worse. So for Jan to deliberately go for something the computer didn't give a blessing to, that's fine. Players do that sometimes if the position is practically difficult. But Danya, you said it. This doesn't look that difficult practically for Black.
No, listen, I think he confused the line. Bishop c1 to f4 on move 7, it's not a move. The move in that position is bishop d3. You want to develop your king side as a matter of top priority, precisely because of what we're seeing now, where White's position is riddled with holes. Black's got clearly defined play on the king side, and you don't want to get into a situation where you are worse, both positionally and tactically. What do I mean by that? I mean, your king is less safe than your opponent's king, and your opponent has better control of key squares in the position. I think Teimour, he can play as simply as knight takes g3 levy and queen f6, and then you've got all sorts of threats against this vulnerable knight on c3. Maybe Nepo can hold on by bringing his rook to c1 in timely fashion, but he's not going to be having fun for at least the next 10 moves.
Yeah, he really isn't. Well, I think his fun depends on whether or not Rajabov allows him to have fun. That's at the end of the day, Rajabov is going to be the one determining whether the white position is going to have fun or not. It's important to keep an eye on the clock as well. Black has a 1.5 minute time advantage, which against Jan can fade so quickly because you sort of sit there and you're like, okay, I'm better, but how? I'm better, but how? I'm better, but how? Wait a minute, I'm down 6 minutes on the clock. I think Jan,
exactly.
Jan and MVL are very similar in that way. They are fast defenders, right? So they try to get out of unpleasant situations, not by playing the board always, but also playing the clock and making it practically difficult. Yeah, so
that's a great call. They're not just fast in general; they're also fast when they're defending. That's actually a very important point.
Yeah, because a lot of us, when we defend, we get mad, sad, we sit there, we get... No, not these guys. They just play moves. They just play moves. And by the way, it's down to 50 seconds now.
He plays moves and he tries to confront his opponent with practically difficult decisions. Like here, bishop f4 to g3. Take me on g3. Do you play queen f6? Do you play on the king side? Or do you maybe strike on the queen side with a Benko Gambit style idea? You often see black playing b7, b5, and c5, c4 in these positions, especially given that this idea won't be as attractive after white castles kingside, because then the knight will be able to take on b5.
Jan Nepomniachtchi has just left the building. Oh,
Yep,
he's back.
He's gone. There he is.
He's like, man, that position was so bad. I'm out. You know, I'm leaving.
Yeah, I can't bear to look at this. So as Timur is deciding on his next course of action, you think this is a good time maybe to check back into our other match?
Yes. Let's check back in. Let's take a look at Ding Liren versus Nihal Sarden. And Ding is doing what he does best. He's trying to surgically exploit certain problems of the position. Rook a3 is an interesting move. Rook b4, sorry, is an interesting move. Queen a2, and does black have rook a4? Or is that even a good move? I don't
Trying to wrap my head around like what's happening here. The one clear determination I made is that d5 is currently hanging, unless I'm hallucinating.
Yeah.
But you could envision some situations in which black actually sacrifices that pawn, maybe if it leads to a queen trade or a rook infiltration to b2. So I would not rule out the move rook a4, even though it sacrifices the pawn. Maybe that's precisely the kind of conditions under which you want to sacrifice the pawn.
Yeah, I also think the rook can go back to c4. This is such a tangled web of a position.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many pieces staring at one another, but look at Nihal. 4 minutes up. Very confident play from him. And he's just kind of a nightmare. Like he's just so
He's
quick.
Such a practical player. And if we bring up an analysis board for a second, I want to explore rook a4 for a second. You proposed that, Levy. I really like this idea. What happens after takes, bishop takes d5, and just a3? I don't know about you. I hate these types of positions with white, where you have to deal with a passed pawn that is ineradicable. The only way you're going to get rid of it is by sacrificing an exchange on a3. And that's just not a palatable option for me.
Yeah, actually, I rejected my original idea because I saw that d5 was under attack. But, I mean, in this kind of a format, with 9 minutes on the clock as opposed to like 20 seconds. By the way, Nihal would probably do this in a blitz game anyway, but this looks really, really hard for white. And it looks like it will probably just be some sort of endgame where white has more pawns and black has more material, and it'll probably just end up being a draw. But, I mean... But,
okay, in the event of queen trade, the pawn becomes very active, so maybe white has to play something like d5 here and try to get the knight active, but I can bet you a silver dollar that Nihal is calculating this very line right now. And because of the sunk cost levy, you invest 5-6 minutes, it makes it a lot more likely that you're going to go for a line like this.
Yeah, it's really frustrating when you calculate for a long time and then chicken out, and then it turns out to be the best move. That's sort of like the worst of the worst. But these players in these critical moments are extremely accurate. It's what gets them to the round of 16. It's what gets them to a round of 8. The best players in the world, when they take a lot of their time percentage-wise, they are going to probably find that critical idea. There is no concrete reason to not play rook a4. It's more of a feeling, right? Like Nihal might not see the concreteness of all of this 7 to 8 moves down the line. It's very tough. Like once you get deeper into endgames to calculate everything with no time on the clock, but he'll play rook a4 based on the feeling that he gets sufficient compensation or the lack of that feeling.
Yeah, I mean, you can just see the wheels turning in his head, and rook to a4. What a decision by Nihal. And this is why I love watching him play. Doesn't matter who he's facing. He's not going to shy away from principled continuations. If he believes in his calculation, guess what? He's playing the moves. And that's what makes this young generation so ridiculously dangerous and terrifying to play. It's not that they don't respect the top guys. They respect them as chess players, but they're not going to change the way they play just because the number in front of your opponent's 100 digit is an 8.
Yep. And look at Nihal, a3. This is the line that we were calculating. I think Ding Liren now realizes he is going to have some serious struggles defending this pawn. Having said that, white still has some decent practical chances, but the evaluation, I can't see the number, but it's around 0, right?
0.0.
Yeah, and let's think about that. It's zeros, but black is down a pawn. So white is supposed to be +1, but black has a full point of compensation. Right here's the critical moment. We saw this whole line. So what is Nihal going to show us here that we haven't seen already? Because white is about to play knight d4. Okay, queen e4, but now still knight d4, right? So what is Nihal going to do then?
You have to prevent rook c2. Knight d4 is on the board, but now rook b8, and the rook is infiltrating to b2. Oh, my lands, this is getting dangerous. And here's what's critical, Levy. Rook d2, not an option, because then the rook slides to b1, and white has to give the queen away.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. So what was the move instead of knight d4? What was Stockfish saying there? Knight d4 was a very like lazy and natural move.
I mean, the only move, according to Stockfish, let's bring up an analysis board again. Queen a1 check, which in and of itself isn't that crazy. Here's the idea. You're provoking f6, and then you're sticking the knight on f4 and going to e6. If black drops back to g8 instead, the only path to a draw is queen f6. Black can drop the queen back, queen g5 check, and now you're supposed to play knight d4 and allow the pawn to get to a2. This is inhuman. I mean, you have to find 4 or 5 computer moves cold-blooded like that. Awesome.
Yeah, and basically what we just saw in front of us, right? We saw both guys looking at the exact same thing. Okay, we saw both guys both analyzing 5 moves deep. If we can just go to the live board, and I think so Ding played knight d4 the way you and I also kind of lazily played knight d4 because it looked like the natural move. Ding only looked at moves falling down the board like a waterfall toward him, but sidestepping with the rook to go to b2, I think that totally eluded him because he wouldn't have played knight d4 if he saw rook b8. And that's sort of the level difference at the highest chess echelon is you both see 5 moves, but one guy sees 6, all right? Or you both see that move 6, but you misevaluate it. Ding, I think, totally missed rook b8, and now he's going to have to defend this unpleasant position.
And it's not totally lost. I mean, he is going to mount a last stand on that a2 square, and in some situations, you know, if he can sack for the pawn and then win also the f5 pawn, he will have serious drawing chances. The big question here for Nihal, does he want the queens off the board? And if the answer is yes, then we're going to see queen c4.
What about h5 or something? I don't like. What if
look at you?
But is rook d4 a concern right now? Like, are you?
It is because I guess the queen will be sent to f3, which looks like a good square, Levy, but it doesn't have access to d1 or e2.
But what's the move? What's the h5, rook d4, queen f3? What is the move? Like, I'm missing it for sure. I don't know what the move is. But what is the
move for black in this position? Oh, for white in that position.
Yeah, like h5, rook d4, queen f3. Can we put that on the board? I don't know if
we can. Yeah, we got an analysis board going here. The move is queen c2. And apparently black has some crazy f4 move. But okay, moves are being played on the board.
Yeah. Oh my god, what? Did he play king g6?
Back to the live board we go. King g6, fearless.
What? Oh, because he got checked. Oh, because he got checked on a1.
Oh, yeah. But still, a lot of people would play f6 here. I don't want to put my king on g6. It's scary. It's actually the safest it's been all game on g6. It's unassailable. The knight can't reach it. The rook can't reach it because this f5 pawn is providing excellent cover. And guess what, Levy? Black's rook is now inevitably going to infiltrate to the second rank.
Yeah, this is incredible. The knight on b3 is just completely defenseless. It must move. It has got 2-0. It's a very rare case of 2-0, right? It's basically white gave a check, removing the defense of the knight, and now white has to move. The crazy thing is, if that black h7 pawn gets to h4, white is now under severe danger. Right now, it's just monitoring the situation. But once the pawn is on h4 and the defense is getting removed from the white king's sort of been abandoned, by the way. It's only pawns. Like, the white king just has bricks protecting the house that he lives in, okay? Every other piece is on the other side of the board. So h5, h4 is going to be on the way. That house might get knocked down. And I love how the black king's just, like, out in the open, just, like, not a care in the world. If Nihal wins this with black, this is just exceptional. But I don't want to call it yet because, obviously, more chess has to be played.
Oh, it's not over. But Ding, with every ticking second, it sure looks like it might be over. He's got 2 minutes. He's nowhere near. The defense is just starting. I mean, Nihal hasn't even begun his initiative. It'll really begin the moment he puts his rook on b2, and it's not necessarily, Levy, that black will win in 2 or 3 moves. The problem is that white doesn't have superiority on any side of the board. He's dealing with the a-pawn on the queen side, and as you've been indicating, he's dealing with a potential march of the h-pawn as well as a second-rank assault against the f2 pawn on the king side. So wherever you turn, wherever your eyes dart, you're basically getting checkmated. And as I've been talking, he's dropped another 20 seconds, and now he's below 2 minutes.
He has 1 minute and 40 seconds. He has 100
my
seconds to
goodness.
figure out this game. And there it goes. I mean, that eval is going to plummet. You just cannot defend this position with this little time. And you know what the thing is? Nihal does not screw up advantages very easily. Like, Nihal keeps advantages. That's the problem for Ding.
No, his technique is excellent. It's one of the most impressive facets of his very multifaceted game. The big question here, where is he going to put his queen? My guess, queen c4 to e2, followed by rook b2. Ding is trying to activate his knight as much as he can, but Levy, once the rook gets to b2, the white queen is going to be totally hemmed in on a1. And without the queen, it's going to be very difficult to get anything going against black's monarch.
Absolutely right. Even if white does get the knight to c6, like, what is the next move? I mean, you have to rely on knight e5 check. Maybe you really want to trade the knight for the bishop because then the pawn on a3 loses a defender. I don't know. Basically, what white is hoping for is to trade everything and get into a queen endgame and give perpetual check. I don't think white can actually realistically hope to win this game anymore. No, white is on the defense. And look at that. He plays a move. Stockfish just stays right where it is because he doesn't give up advantages.
Best move, queen e2. It's actually the only move to keep a +3 advantage. And Ding's clock continues to tick down. Now
Why?
rook e2 is unstoppable.
What was the difference between queen c2 and queen e2?
So the difference, I think queen c2 may be allowed in certain positions the knight to drop back to d4 with tempo. I'm spitballing. I actually have no idea. Maybe it has to do with the fact that the queen has easy access to f3, so that later on, it's easier to deliver a lobster pincer mate. I'm not sure. I just think it's the optimal placement in terms of being invulnerable and maximizing its activity. And now there's queen takes e1 and a2.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my lands.
That's not
It
even
wins
that
on
hard.
the spot.
That's not even that hard to calculate. Like,
It's not that hard to find because you just see it.
Yeah, you're like, well, he's attacking my queen. Well, what if I take? Right? Like, what if I take should go through your head even without the pawn on a3, and you should discard it in 0.1 seconds because the queen is defending it, okay? Because you just need to look at what you can capture. But in this case, you have a pawn there, and it's going to go to a2 and rook b1. Nihal is looking at the ceiling not because he likes what's on his ceiling. He likes the fact that he can sack his queen for the rook.
You never know. Maybe he's got a copy of the Sistine Chapel on his ceiling. And queen takes e1 is sensational from Nihal Sarin. The pawn has reached a2, and it's total domination. The rook is getting to b1, and at best, white can do something like knight b3. No, I think this is over.
I don't understand how you stop.
And he's resigned.
Oh my goodness.
And he's resigned.
Oh my goodness. That was one of the most dominant displays that we have seen in this round of 16, winning with black in 20 or so moves. That was unbelievable from Nihal Sarin.
My mouth is literally open. To defeat Ding Liren like this, with that level of opening preparation, getting a structure that he knows, amazing. But don't breathe because we got to switch to the other game. I think Jan Neponishi's position is falling apart. Breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. Timur Rajabov is trying to take a page out of Nihal Sarin's book right now.
Wait, a few moves ago, was there rook takes on e2? Is that what basically happened?
There was.
Yeah.
Oh my God, look at Timur's play. b5, d5, open the files.
Wow.
And
wow. This is
bam.
This is like if Nepo was, it's like if colors were reversed. I mean, Timur is playing in the way that had he had that in his toolbox, he would be unstoppable, right? Like, he's turning the clock back a little bit. To hell with solidity. Let's just blow open the position. I literally just said this 10 minutes ago, and that is sort of what you said. That's what everybody says. Timur is very solid. But in this game, he's not showing any of that. He's just trying to win at all costs.
Yeah, solid. Who said anything about solid, says Timur. Bishop coming back to d4. Levy, right now there is a mate threat, bishop d4 and queen h6. Can we even talk about a potential comeback here for Jan? Right now, I don't even know how he avoids essentially having to give up a rook for the bishop, which is going to be an immediate death sentence.
Yeah,
+2 seems like an underestimation of anything.
Yeah, I don't how on earth is this +2? Like, can you play rookie 1 and threaten back rank mate yourself to kill some time? Oh, he's just
No,
gonna do it.
that's the right move. You have to play rook takes e3 and rook d1. Great practical chance for Nepo, by the way. He's got to put all of his eggs in one basket. And that is the pawn on d5 basket. He has to make something out of that pawn.
Right. So basically the way Timur has played this is he has sacrificed multiple pawns, and now Nepo's going to try to use that to his advantage. And probably this will no longer be decided by an attack on the king, but rather some sort of long-term endgame. If Nepo saves this game, it's going to be such a psychological loss for Rajabov. I mean, it's like as bad as losing.
And that's a minefield, right? That's a very unpleasant situation to be in, where now all of a sudden you basically have to win, or else you're going to be incredibly mad at yourself. And Nepo's only chance here, I think, is to get Timur, let's say, under 2 minutes. Get him under 2 minutes, keep the pawn on d5 alive, maybe find a way to push it to d6. Whatever you do, do not lose the d5 pawn.
Yeah, if you lose the d5 pawn, the game is most certainly over. What is going on today? We have seen some
King
F8 getting that
what
rookie
a move.
game. Yeah.
That's another excellent move by Timur, using the king kind of like a goalie who comes out for that final corner kick. All hands on deck. And Black is very close to getting the queens swapped. And if he does that, well, that's, another piece of bad news for White.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Do you trade queens here with White? Because obviously you don't want to trade because you're losing. On the other hand, you understand the significance that maybe you'll hold a rook and pawn endgame with an extra bishop, but I don't know. I don't know what you do here. The black queen is so active.
I guess it depends on where you trade queens. But the problem is, even after a move like queen c4, even if the conditions for the queen trade are optimal, I mean, you think about that position, the black king gets to d6, blockades the pawn. All of White's queenside pawns are going to be on light squares. No. There's no way Nepo is holding it. Look at the clock. Nepo has 2.5 minutes. Timur has 4. I can repeat that 5 times, and you wouldn't believe me if I said that coming into this game, especially given that Jan has the white pieces. This opening experiment has been a fiasco.
Absolute fiasco. Absolutely. And yeah, Nepo was a bit shaky in that matchup versus Svidler, but at least he got the job done in the Armageddon. But this is a completely different story. I mean, Timur has played some amazing chess in recent weeks, and it is on full display here, and it only continues.
It continues indeed. He blockades the d6 pawn, a very careful move. Bishop d7. It's still not over. Jan is doing everything he can, to keep a glimmer, a spark alive. He still has the d6 pawn levy. As long as he's got a passer, I'm willing to say that the game is not over.
I don't know.
You're like, it's kind of over.
I kind of feel like it might be over. Yeah, I'm not exactly sure how you're going to get yourself out of this situation. But the thing is, in chess, you don't just get the winning position and win. You actually have to take it all the way down, and maybe a rook e5, maybe a rook e6 to try to get the rook to the h file, attacking the white king. I mean, Nepo's just chucking pawns now, trying to push the rest of the pieces through. So
I think you snag. I think it's time to eat. I think you take on b5 because d7 is not to be feared. Rook d8, and the only effect of that is that White accelerates the defeat by losing the pawn faster. I think Timur, he goes for Levi Rosman's idea. What a terrible decision.
Oh, it's awful. I always say when the players take my ideas, maybe not a good thing. Although in this case, computer seems to like it. And also there are various opportunities like queen e5 check to try to win the pawn on d6. In fact, queen e5 right now, what is
f4?
F4?
Only move, I think. Okay, then you could play something. If you want to trade queens, you can play queen e3 there.
I think that's really what Jan is going to rely on. He's going to rely on like an incorrect decision to simplify, and I think White will chuck a couple pawns to win the c5 pawn. White will try to play rook d5, rook c5, at which point White has a very small chance of saving this game. Microscope. Oh, Danya. Clock.
What's going on?
Clock.
2 minutes. What did I say? When he's under 2 minutes, that's when he starts biting his shirt. And all you need is that little glimmer of anxiety, am I starting to screw this up? Am I giving my opponent unnecessary chances?
G5.
Okay, G5. What a classy move. Just totally freezing all of White's kingside pawns, preventing F4. I still think Timur has this under control. Now he's got to try to stay over 1 minute.
Yeah, 1 minute is more than enough with a 2-second bonus. In a scramble of an endgame, White has chances. Okay, Jan, yeah, this is like full
Jan's
turbo
lost
now.
hope. Yeah, Queen E5, Rook takes D6, 0-1.
Yeah,
And I don't know
there's-
what... Okay, wait.
Yeah, there's nothing here.
Also,
Queen
Jan... Sorry, go on.
I was going to say after Queen E5, Queen G3. I'm just trying to tell everybody there's Rook H6, right? So that's sort of
Yeah.
the idea.
That's a very important detail, by the way. That would precisely be the kind of wrong simplification, because White could get the Rook to D5. Also, note that Queen takes B3 was a total possibility. A4, as you said, is a complete tilt. It's just frustration.
Yeah, you can sort of tell by the amount of times that Jan has sort of like made a face with his eyes and his lips that he's kind of at the end of his patience for this position, and yeah, he's certainly unhappy. And it was an experiment, and it certainly didn't pay off. Now, I don't know. I don't know why it went this bad to begin with. He made a very deliberate attempt to play one of the sharpest lines of the Nimzo Indian, and you're saying he might have even misplayed it to get to this situation.
Well, Bishop F4, I will stand by my claim. That was a terrible move. It was some sort of miscalculated confusion. I don't know what it stemmed from, but that was not the move, and it wasn't one of those moves. This is what's so important. Not one of those moves, oh, the computer doesn't approve of it, but it's practically interesting. Practically, it's just terrible. And look at this. Rook D1 and Queen E1 is going to be check and mate after the king moves, or White can choose to lose this queen. With check, choose your pick. Nepo chooses a third option as he throws in the towel. What a tour de force, Levy. This is shades of Rajabov's win over Ding. That's what this reminds me of.
Yeah, this is
moves.
Yeah, this is Rajabov saying, stop describing me as a solid player. Stop describing what you think is potentially a flaw of my game. I am more than capable of winning games in a multitude of different styles. And really, I think the thing is, if you underestimate Rajabov's dynamic skills, dynamic abilities, and you play some kind of absurd opening against him, he will punish you to the depths of absolute defeat. The craziest part about this round is we just saw two absolutely dominant start-to-finish victories by Black, not just by Black, but by the players in the match who were not given a chance in the community vote.
Yeah, I mean, what people seem to forget is that you cannot hit 2750 and stay there for decades unless you are a ridiculously well-rounded player, a player who is constantly able to adjust on the fly. And speaking of adjusting on the fly, maybe it's time to adjust your browsing experience. We wanted to thank our sponsor, Brave, because Brave means private browsing and so much more. By default, Brave blocks ads and trackers on every page and video you visit, even on YouTube. No ads means up to 3 times faster page loads, faster streaming, and faster playback. It means 35% longer battery life while saving on mobile data and internet bandwidth for Android, iOS, and desktop. Get the best browser for gamers, streamers, and creators. Switch in 60 seconds at brave.com/chess. Well, the Global Chess Championship presented by Brave will return with Game 2 after a sensational start to both matches by the player with the black pieces. Don't go anywhere. Game 2 coming your way on the other side of this short break.
Run for my life. Okay.
What's up, man?
Hey, just solving some puzzles.
Get my coffee.
Oh, shoot. Oh, shoot.
Which one is that? Is that our new one?
Yeah. I can't get this one, man. Oh, shoot. What's wrong with you, man? Oh, this is hard.
You sure you're feeling okay?
1. Got it. Ah, shoot.
c5? Bishop takes c1.
We are back at the Chess.com Global Championship presented by Brave, where Jan Nepomniachtchi, as well as Ding Liren, have just suffered devastating defeats, in Jan's case, at the hands of a bloodthirsty Timur Rajabov. As we look at Jan's pensive, just uncomfortable facial expression. Jan, at 32 years old, Levy, he's so experienced. He's been in these situations before. How does he recover mentally? How does he recover on the chessboard? What advice would you give him if you're his boxing coach?
He's a boxing coach. I've got.
Well, you're the guy in the ring, you know.
Well, I don't know actually if Jan has found himself behind in many matches early. I think Jan is a fast starter. His whole thing is, can he keep the consistency throughout and kind of not lose his path? I think Jan is in a very unique position right now, and I think champions are made in a variety of different ways. Best analogy I can give you, UFC champion Charles Oliveira has won his last 3 championship fights, and he's been knocked down in every single one of them. A punch has landed, he's dropped to the ground, he's gotten back up. I think Jan can chalk that game up not to any sort of chess skill, but rather, I played some nonsense in the opening. For the next few rounds, I am not going to play nonsense in the opening. But the truth is, at the highest level of the game, more often than not, games will end in draws. When you have to win, that is when things get weird. So will he try to go all in immediately in game 2? Will he try to follow the philosophy of stop the losses right away and try to win with white in game 3? I don't know. But we are most certainly going to find out. He has lost games in his life, but he generally does not get blown off the board. So
not like that.
Yep.
I don't remember the last time he lost a game like that. And knowing Jan, I think he's going straight for the win. The problem with that, Levy, is that if you lose this game, you go down 2-0. We haven't had a 2-0 comeback in all of the CGC, and I don't think we will. I think with this caliber of players, it's virtually impossible. And you can see already a very clearly defined strategy by Timur. Very solid, Soviet schoolboy approach. Doesn't want to get into the semi-Tarrasch. He wants a symmetrical, solid position. And I love that strategy for Timur because that's going to serve to tilt Jan even more.
Wasn't d5 here played by Hikaru versus Linier, or was that a slightly different move order? I think that happened a bit recently.
I think it was. I remember that game.
Yeah, but I think White had castled instead of playing a3. But all these move orders just confuse me ultimately.
Ooh, bishop e2 though. I'm used to the bishop dropping back to a2 in these positions precisely so that d5 remains on the table.
Yeah, like
bishop
if you
e2, I don't know.
If you've already played a3, you should go to a2. But if you haven't played a3, like that's the thing, right? In this position, like the fact that White has played a3 makes it so that bishop a2 is possible. But the way he did it now, can't Black even maybe make it really unbalanced? Like c4 is an option maybe in some positions. cd4 also.
Yeah, I mean, listen, cd4 and bishop b7 is usually not an option with the bishop on a2 because White has d5. Actually, I want to pull up an analysis board. That's an instructive point. Bishop a2, takes bishop b7. You're one move away from blockading the pawn, but White pushes d5 with a huge initiative. With the bishop on e2, c takes d4 is always going to be on the table. But Levy, I agree with you. c4 also definitely to be taken seriously. Kind of Nihal style.
Yeah, c4 just shut the door. Okay, plays bishop b7.
Now you see.
Yeah, this is the problem.
And b4 and draw. Now I think it's just totally symmetrical after b4 and bishop b2.
Yeah, this is not great. I guess Nepo is not taking the strategy of win at all costs, which kind of makes sense. If you lost a rough game, you equalize with Black. But he's got to win at some point.
He's got to win at some point. The game isn't over after b4 and bishop b2. I just don't see Timur losing that position. I just don't. It's just so symmetrical, and there's a high probability of total liquidation on the queen side with, at some point, White playing a4 and then b5. And if the queen side pawns are traded, you might as well sign the piece.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody's going to win, it's going to be White, because in positions of total symmetry, let's not forget White goes first, and White begins to ask all the questions, So, in this case, yeah, Jan is, Jan looks really unhappy, or I don't know, maybe he just looks focused. But
yeah, always hard to say, but you're right, Levy. He hasn't been in this spot forever, and that's the definition of suffering from success. I mean, you just forget what it's like to be down in a match and to be playing poorly, and you oftentimes lose patience with yourself. You saw that with sports teams like the Warriors, whom I love dearly. Last season, they had a couple of games where they were down, 10, 15 points at the half, and they just kind of had a meltdown because they're just not used to being in that situation psychologically. Let's see how Jan handles this.
Yep. Has the other game started, by the way? Because I'm kind of bored.
No
disrespect.
Do we have anything else to watch?
They haven't started yet. Okay.
You're stuck with this one. I'm sorry to say.
They might literally draw in 5 or 10 moves. I don't think Jan has any interest in playing this position I mean, it's almost completely symmetrical.
It is. I mean, if anything, I think Timur should be on the lookout for chances to seize the advantage, because if you're frustrated, you're like, man, I didn't create any chances. Jan has been known at times, to make a couple of careless moves, but we'll keep an eye on this game. I have some very good news for you, Levy. We have another channel on the television. It's called the Dingley Ren Nihal Sarin channel.
Yep.
And we are going to switch to that channel.
Yes. Wow, look at this. This is some sort of meta. So c3 has really gotten popular recently because it's a way to move order Black into a better London. You're aware of this, I'm sure. Generally, if you play bishop f4 on the third move, Black can play the immediate c5. Then considered totally fine for Black. But c3 deliberately makes Black make a move first to make c5 impossible. Now, Black could still play c5, and then you get a reverse note boom variation, which is just one of the most insane variations in all of chess. I had that recently in an over-the-board game. and it was a disaster. I didn't remember the line at all. I had to basically make it up over the board. My opponent knew 20 moves of theory. It's a very annoying line, and you see Ding is pausing here, not because he doesn't know any chess past move 3, but it's a tough line. It's an annoying line, and it's clear Nihal wants to play a London.
Yeah, and let's pull up an analysis board because I want to show what the node boom variation actually is. C7, C5, D takes C5, and the point of C3, Levy, correct me if I'm wrong, becomes clear after E6, because here you're able to play B4, and I think the actual node boom structure arises after something like this. Takes, B6, A4, you give up C5, and you push B5, and all of a sudden, you actually have connected passers on the A and B files, which is pretty crazy. By move 9, you haven't even put your clothes on in the morning, and you're already dealing with 2 connected passers. This is not palatable for most players, especially not for Ding Liren. If we go back to the live board, he has avoided this scenario by first playing E6, then pushing C5.
Yes.
And as is very typical, Levy, queens on B3 and B6.
Right.
You see that on the daily in the London.
Yes, but the benefit now is that Nihal has forced Ding into playing a certain setup, right? He's forced Ding into playing just one of the variations of the London, where these queens meet on the B file. Nobody wants to capture the other queen because the A file is going to open for the rook. And Ding has already played a massive sideline. He's played bishop D7, which I've never seen before, for example. I mean, everything in the London is 0.2 for white, right? This is no exception. And the knight on B8 hasn't even moved. So... Yeah. Bishop E2. Yeah, this is just a London. At some point, Nihal will probably play H3, castle, knight E5, one of these 3 moves.
This is so London-y. It's just London to its core, If you want to position, if you're playing Pictionary or something, or you're trying to send Martians a universally understandable signal of what the London is, I would just give this position.
Yep. Maybe right before 95, but yeah, for newer players, we try to teach London with bishop on D3, queen is going to the king side for checkmate, but these guys, they're not going to get checkmated in the London. White is just going to get a slightly unpleasant position, and black basically has to sit there and prevent themselves from throwing a tantrum, because the London is so annoying to deal with when white doesn't take any risk, and if black tries to get a little too aggressive, you can get punished very swiftly. Very, very swiftly.
Yeah.
So, bishop c6, you see, Ding is trying to be edgy, bishop, what is he doing, right? What is this? Bishop c6, knight d7, what is this? But he's trying to actually create a fight. But Nihal's not biting, he's just doing what he wants.
Nihal isn't biting, and just look at how solid white's position is. I could stare at this for ages. As much as I've badmouthed the London on my stream, most of it is playful. The London is a tremendously sound opening. It's an opening that's so difficult to crack, and it's the perfect thing to play when you're up by 1 in a match, let alone the fact that Nihal plays it most of the time. It's one of his main weapons, and he very much plays it for a win. But the position is still undefined, Levy. We could get an endgame. We could get a trade of the knight for the bishop. We could get a trade of knight for knight. There's a lot of tension in the center, and I'm very curious who is actually going to be the one who dictates the transformation. Will it be white, taking the queen, or will it be black trading? Right now, both sides keeping the tension.
Rook FC8 is a very interesting move, basically saying the king side is, there's a really fascinating sacrifice here, which is absolute garbage, but it's knight takes f7. That is a move that you could play in a blitz game. It obviously just loses immediately because it doesn't get you anything resembling an attack. But you know what I mean, though, right? It looks appetizing, but there's just nothing there.
I was thinking about that. It's the first thing that came to my mind. It's just like an instinct the moment the rook leaves f8.
Yeah, you're like, I can sack and win the pawn on e6, but you have no attack. So rook fd1. Yeah, both players are basically saying this game is going to be played on the queen side and in the center. Nobody's going to. Okay.
Great.
Yeah. Oh, bishop e8.
Nihal. Immediately. h3.
Yeah, always a good move. Bishop can go to h2. Also, white can start an attack with g4 at a random moment, and black's kind of like, wait, what? We're attacking each other? Notice how the queens have had a staring contest the entire game. That's probably confusing people, but neither side wants to take and damage the other structure because in chess, we have something I like to call kind of superseding concepts. You say, oh, double pawns, I'm so smart. But actually, opening your opponent's rook is worse. So The doubled pawns are outweighed by the fact that the rook gets super open. And that's why the queens are just staring at each other.
Yeah, that's a great point. And, it's just so important to realize that in such positions, piece activity outweighs these cosmetic deficiencies in your structure. So we might see the queens staring at each other for another 10 moves. I mean, totally not unlikely. Another question Ding has to answer, will he play c4? I think now actually might be a decent time to push c4, move the queen out of b6 at last, and then the classic minority attack. Insofar as the London has kryptonite, it is, I think, this pawn attack where black plays c4, pushes the b pawn to b4, and starts loading up the pressure on white's structurally integral c3 pawn.
Yeah, and actually, it now starts becoming a question of, did Nihal sort of get a little bit lazy with all of this, right? Like, suddenly black has a plan. Does white?
Yeah, lazy's a great word to describe this. 95 to f3. Why did he drop the knight back? I think he was worried about the prospect of black sending him away with f6 and controlling some of the center squares while he's at it. But for Ding, I think it's important to step on the gas pedal right now. I actually really feel strongly that c4 is the way to go here.
Yeah. This looks amazing. By the way, this setup by black, bishop e7, bishop e8. I wonder if Ding... I almost feel like it... Did he really make this up in this game, or has he seen this somewhere? Because I feel like these guys do so much research, right? And I feel like maybe in some of his analysis of London with the computer, he sort of went, oh, wow, there's this interesting idea to kind of like keep the tension, rook fc8, and then put the bishops like this. And he puts his knight on d6, right? You have this like strong center knight, and the pawns are going next. By the way, what happened?
I stopped hearing you there for a second, Lamey.
Oh, that's okay. I think most of the chat wishes that they had that privilege. So yeah, let's we can have Nepo and Rajabov drawn their game, or what's happened there?
Have they drawn? Not yet. Yeah, let's pull up that game because I'm worried about Nepo. I'm just worried that he's in that unsettled frame of mind where you can screw up any position. Okay, this is currently on the board. Guess what? Nepo offered a draw, and Timur Rajabov just declined it. The plot thickens.
Oh my goodness. Timur is just straight up trying to beat him with white. And
yeah,
I mean, black is a move behind in this game, it feels like.
Yeah, guess what? White's not losing this game. The structure's the match. It's not like Timur is, I need to take this draw because if I don't, I'm going to screw up. He's thinking, I'm 4 minutes on the clock. My opponent is clearly in a psychologically bad state. This is my chance to put this match to bed with a win in this game. So why not push for a couple more moves?
And if black plays rook a8, which looks supernatural because if you trade the rooks, it's just going to be a draw, white has knight e5 check, and that poses a whole new set of problems.
Oh, I actually didn't see that. Let's pull up an analysis board here. Rook a8, knight e5 check. You say, what's the problem? Well, the problem is that you lose the bishop on b4. Suddenly, white's got the bishop pair, pressure on the b file. Rook b3. This is very much unpalatable for black.
Yeah, this looks terrible. And I mean, rook a8 looks like it just makes a draw. You just trade rooks. Nobody can win that. And you're not winning the same 4 pawns on the same side of the board. But you can win this. This is absolutely winnable. And I think Rajabov declined the draw after like one of the most recent moves. I think it was king d7. I mean, this is if Rajabov wins this game. That is a statement.
Now, answer me this. Let's go back to the live position here. When was the last time Jan Nepomniachtchi was down 5.5 minutes on the clock? It's even just hard to say in one breath. Jan Nepomniachtchi down 5.5 minutes.
Yeah, he's having a bad day, and it's combined with Rajabov having a great one. Like this happens, right? You have a guy who can't get started with a guy that just had a good breakfast. All right, he's drinking. I don't know what he's drinking the Paulo Costa secret juice. All right, I don't know. He's got everything kind of firing for him on all cylinders right now, and he's got a bright blue shirt. It's one of my favorite colors. Everything's sort of going well. Yeah, Jan.
Hey, don't you like light blue?
Yes, I do.
It was kind of in the dryer for like 4 days, so it's a little bit wrinkled, but we're not going to talk about that.
That's okay.
I have
I'm honestly, I'm so bad at that. Like,
I'm
I
terrible
think,
at that. Clothes stay there for 2 weeks for me.
yeah, I get my clothes out of the dryer. Like, I don't even, I
Oh,
put
yeah.
them in the bin. I don't fold them. I'm so bad at that stuff, man.
That's
Not that
terrible.
anybody has to know that, but yeah,
I don't know.
it's
I'm talking about this.
but listen, at least we wash them.
Yeah,
at least we
we're
wash our
looking
clothes.
and doing. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I never go. Even a week without doing laundry. No. God forbid.
You never go a day. I wash the clothes just right
Every
away,
day.
every day.
Yeah. The moment that one shirt becomes dirty, I run a cycle.
Yeah, this is what this game has made us commentate on. Can we check if Ding has started an attack on Nihal? How about that?
It's kind of bad when the conversation about laundry is more interesting than the position.
Listen,
Can you blame us? Look at the position.
We got like a 1 minute delay between chat and our voices, and you already know someone. Listen, we get everything. We get complaints of we're going too fast, beginners can't follow. We're going too slow for beginners, experienced chess fans can't follow. Next thing we're gonna, we deflecting the conversation away from the chessboard. I mean, it's total symmetry. Like, what do you want? That's why I'm trying to go here. Ding Liren is about to attack a child. How about that for a headline?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. And he is reared and ready to go on the queen side. All of his pieces staring at the right spots on the board. The eval bar, though, isn't quite buying it. It's still giving an edge for white. I maintain that Ding probably should have played c4 earlier, but is d takes c5 a dangerous prospect? Is white actually entertaining that possibility? It's not every day in the London levy that you give up this d4 pawn. That's something you always do with a heavy heart. And it's something that you often accompany by pushing e4.
Yeah, DC. Oh, goodness, I got so excited to.
You can't even say it without coughing.
I know. I'm just so pumped about the center pawn break. Yeah, DC5 is one of these moves where if black has to recapture with a piece that can be a target, then it's good for white. And that oftentimes happens if you have to take with a queen or a rook. If a knight for black lands on c5, it's bad for white generally. That's okay. That's setting up maybe dc5 and some various b4s, but actually not really, but it's setting up dc. Yeah, exactly. I don't know. But that's probably the plan, right? dc e4, try to blow the center open, or take on d6 and then e4, something like that.
Yeah. The way I describe Nihal's play in this game is casual. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, I don't think he's trying to involve himself too deeply with variations. What I think he's telling himself is, okay, in most of these positions, there's going to be 3 or 4 moves that are going to be approximately equivalent to each other. I'm not going to get too low on time, and I'm going to choose one of them intuitively. I think the strategy has worked pretty decently. Ding has decided to trade on d4, and I've always enjoyed these types of structures for white. I don't know about you.
Yeah, this is a exchange Caro Kann pawn structure with one of the strangest. It's like basically the player started the game e4, c6, d4, d5, takes, and then said, remove your back rank of pieces and put them wherever you want. Because that is sort of what happens in the London if black ever takes on d4, white takes with the e pawn. And in this case, I am inclined to agree. I really like the attacking chances that white gets over to that king side, especially the way Ding has set up his pieces, like the knight on d6, the bishops on e7, e8. But he's basically saying, Nihal, you got nothing. You got nothing here. Yeah, you beat me last game, but that's in the past. You have nothing here, and I'm going to attack you with my minority of pawns, my DBA versus your ABCD. B5 is on the way. B4 is on the way. Did I say B4 twice, or did I say B5 before? Anyway, regardless, that's what's coming. And I think Ding has good winning chances.
Yeah, he's done what he has to do, right? He's kept pieces on the board. He's kept the structure a little bit imbalanced. He's kept a 2-minute advantage on the clock, but eventually push is going to have to come to shove, and Nihal is trying to prevent that from happening. A5, a classic move in these positions, discouraging black from pushing the b pawn. That will only lead to more weaknesses after en passant. Drawback of a5 is that it does yield the b5 square. Is that square particularly noteworthy? Is it a worthy square to position a piece? Ding certainly thinks so. Bishop b5 is on the board.
Yeah, bishop b5 is on the board. I saw a comment that said Nepo blundered. I don't know if that's reality. Generally, we would be spammed with that if it happened.
No, he did. He's down a pawn. We got to switch to that game ASAP.
That's crazy.
Jan Nepomniachtchi is having a meltdown in this match. He hasn't lost his game just yet, but he is on the cusp of doing just that. Oh my goodness, look at this. Let's rewind a little bit. in this position, he played rook a8, Levy. Takes.
Oh, he just blundered takes, 95.
And you can't keep both of these things defended at the same time. You got to lose the pawn. And he's down to 2 minutes and 50 seconds.
He's down 6 minutes on the clock. Oh my gosh.
Holy smokes. This is a blowout.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm just completely shocked. This is crazy.
He's got pretty serious drawing chances, though, because the pawns are all on one side of the board.
Yeah, what is the best case? Okay, the best case scenario for black is obviously opposite colored bishop endgame from here, right? You need the opposite colored bishops. Is that realistic? No. Is it easier or harder to draw an endgame down a pawn when it's knights or when it's bishops?
It's a really good question. I would probably prefer, I don't know if I'd prefer both pairs of bishops to be gone or if I'd prefer one pair of bishops and one pair of knights. It's hard to say. I think white would prefer all the pieces on the board for as long as possible. Maybe f3, e4 should be considered. Maybe bring the king to e3. You're going to see Timur kind of slowly accumulating the pressure and trying to avoid unnecessary trades.
Okay.
Although
interesting.
Maybe, I don't know, maybe he won't trade knights, maybe. See, this is what I have a hard time understanding. Like, which pieces you want to trade. These are very high-level considerations. I know one thing. Knight g6 is a great move.
It's a really nice move. And white is going to have to come forward. That's the only way white's going to be able to win this game. White's going to have to walk down the black position and remove the pieces from their defending squares and slowly prying apart the defenses. And black has a really tough structure to defend because g7 is weak and e6 is really weak. And this is...
Listen, 2 minutes. 2 minutes on the clock. Nepo not used to being in time pressure, not used to being a pawn down and 1 point down in the match with his back against the wall. This is crazy.
Yep, this is crazy. The time is flipped. I think the time got flipped. I don't know what happened, but yeah, Rajabov did not just calmly get to the 2 minute spot. Sometimes that happens. Anyway, as you can see there, it's Jan who has 2 minutes, and it's Jan who is defending the position.
Still got chances if he doesn't tilt.
Yeah, he has chances because, again, for the manyth time, if I can use that word, black is worse, but white's got to go forward. White has the chance to make the mistake or the inaccuracy.
Yeah, the position's not going to win itself. The problem that white faces is that every trade of pawns tears a little bit out of white's heart. And if 3 pairs of pawns are traded, black could even give a minor piece for the last remaining pawn. So in order to win, white basically will have to win another pawn at some point. And Nepo's not just giving it away easily. You can see he brings his king to e7. Okay, preferably, you don't want to miss a fork. So Timur is going to try to keep finagling, keep maneuvering his pieces. And I think he's going to try to go after this e6 pawn one way or the other.
Yeah, and if he plays a move like knight c5, does Jan want the trade there? I don't think so, right?
No, I don't think he wants the bishop there, to give white the bishop there.
Yeah, because that's going to be real tough to defend against. The bishops just stare you down for the rest of the game.
So knight c5, bishop f7, I guess, is his intention.
Yeah, I mean, stubborn defender.
h4, okay, classic, endgame moves by Timur. I think we're going to see king f2. And he's going to try to milk black's clock down to a minute. That's when, the real stuff hits the fan, because that's when you just don't have time to react to unexpected stimuli in the position.
Yeah, it's a great way of putting it. Yeah, you're on high alert at that point, and one move by your opponent that you did not expect, and you're just kind of like, whoa, and then you make a mistake. Like last game. I mean, last game, Jan blundered kind of this back rank deflection tactic. And he kind of... Okay, so now, king f2, g4, g5.
Yeah, g4, g5 is probably the only pair of pawns it is worth trading, because otherwise, how are you actually going to knock any of black's pieces away from their posts? Now 1.5 minutes for Nepo, even less.
Well, it's so hard for Jan, because he has nothing. He just basically sits and waits, and he is hoping that white messes up. That's really what he's hoping for.
And Timur can, stay on cruise control for miles and miles, right? He is under no obligation to make any commitments. If he wants to play 30 moves and torture Jan, he can do that. And Jan is taking another big chunk of time, and that's what he was thinking about. Big decision there, Levy, to proactively push the pawn to g5.
It's a very tough spot now here. What do we think about? Like, do we want to take on g5 and leave the pawn there? Okay, well, that answers that question. Yep.
3-7, good move. You didn't want to go g4 because of bishop g5 with an eternal pin against the knight.
Yep. Now black is a move away from getting the bishop back, either with d6 or bishop b2.
I think Jan is doing a phenomenal job so far.
Mm-hmm. Hey, is 3 pieces versus 2 winning?
I was actually wondering, I was going to ask you that question.
I had an endgame like that once, and I managed to win, but it took like 150 moves. But I think I also had 2 bishops versus like a knight, which helped. Whereas, you got to now think, if white has 2 bishops and a knight and black has 2 pieces, black probably wants 2 bishops, right? Maybe black wants a knight. I don't know.
I think so too. I think black probably wants, well, the ideal is like bishop and knight against bishop, as well as bishop and knight against knight is a pretty easy draw. But with the addition of a third minor piece, the defensive task obviously becomes a lot harder. Does it become insurmountable? I don't quite know.
Yeah, I don't. I don't know. I want to say it's probably a draw, but the computer would show.
Nepo staying on high alert. The threat there was e5, knocking the knight away from h7. So for the time being, Jan, he keeps a minute on his clock. He keeps his position intact.
Yeah.
We also have the other game, but I don't know.
No, this one is good. This one may end relatively soon.
Yep, and I'm keeping an eye on the other game in case the position explodes. The position there is still pretty closed, so we'll take you there as soon as there's concrete action. But right now, we're watching Nepo struggle in time pressure. He needs to hold the draw here. A loss in this game puts him down 2-0 and basically ends the match.
Yes, bishop c1. Does Rajabov go for a trade of pieces? I mean, you almost don't want to because your opponent has 40 seconds.
So yeah, but knight coming to d6, you can't. Well, I guess you can go king f6. e5, king g7. Whoa, hanging by a thread.
Well, so close.
Knight d6, bishop c6 doesn't actually seem to give all that much for white. Great defending by Jan.
I know. I'm like trying to find a way to poke a hole in the defense, but I can't.
And now the time advantage is down to 4 minutes. It sounds still like a lot. It is a lot, but you can imagine spending, 2-3 minutes trying to figure out a way, as you said, to poke a hole. And if this gets down to a time scramble, I think Nepo is going to hold comfortably.
Yeah, agreed. We are definitely far away from that, though. I feel like we may get a break potentially from this game just because Timur is going to spend a few minutes here trying to find some way in. You can only shuffle so many times. We've kind of gotten to that point where white has made as much progress as possible. Oh, maybe not. King e2, yeah, that is another method. Run your king all around to the edge of the board. No, bishop f4.
Yeah, king c1, there will be bishop a4 check. No passaron. I mean, it is hard even to envision how white makes progress. Maybe at some point Timur pushes g3, but that just creates another liability, and you're going to have to keep your king or your bishop stuck defending that pawn. I don't know. I think Nepo is pretty close to holding his own here.
Yep. I agree.
Okay, shall we switch to the other game for a brief moment, just for a change of scenery?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, and this seems to be going pretty well for the Chinese number one. He's got a time advantage, and he has made serious progress inducing weaknesses on the queen side for white.
Yeah, it really feels like Nihal has sort of floated through this game. Like he hasn't been able to come up with a concrete plan. And Ding, on the other hand, is very clearly coming up with a concrete plan. And Nihal is uncomfortable. He's down 3 minutes.
Yeah, Ding...
I was going to say, this is Ding's greatest asset as a chess player, I think. The ability to overcome. And he might have that skill better than anybody. I mean, of course, gotta say Magnus probably just in every conversation, but Ding is just so good at, like, he will have a bad first game. That doesn't mean anything. He will come back so strong in the next one and all the others after.
Yeah, he's got that incredibly upbeat quality. I just feel like he focuses on the positive, and he plays the same way every game, which is such an important recipe for success in these match formats and these knockout tournaments. You know, you don't want to do anything crazy, even if you're in trouble in the match. You just want to play the way that you normally play. And Ding doing pretty well, but Nihal, he's not just going to, you know, float away and die. Knight f4 is a clear sign, Levy, that he still has blood on his mind. Knight takes h5 is a huge threat, followed by queen g5, and that's actually just checkmate. He blundered it! Oh! He blundered it!
Oh my goodness.
And White's got at least a perpetual there. What the heck?
Oh my goodness, Ding is devastated.
Oh. Unreal.
Ding is devastated.
I think Nihal might actually take the draw, though.
Why would he do that?
But okay, so let's pull up an analysis board real fast.
Yeah.
The point is that GH gets mated. Check, 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 and mate. But instead, Ding doesn't take the knight. He goes king h7, and he says, what else do you have other than repetition? Well, you've got a minute on the clock. I think Nihal's not going to risk it. I think he's going knight f6 and taking the draw.
Wow. Rajabov won, apparently, against Jan Nepomniachtchi in the meantime.
Whoa!
What is happening?
What? Oh, he trapped his bishop. We got to go back to that game now.
This is crazy.
He trapped his bishop. Oh, wait. Okay. So we saw this.
Uh-huh.
Bishop h5 was the blunder. You seal off this passageway. You seal off this passageway, and the knight seals off the b2 and a3 squares. Bishop is trapped.
That's crazy. And it's because he had no time. He had 13 seconds.
Holy cannoli. And exactly. It's the time pressure that ultimately got him. And in the meantime, Nihal's going for the win.
Wow.
We got to switch back. Nihal with 26 seconds on his clock and ice in his veins.
In his veins.
His veins.
Oh, that is a Nihal Sarin. Oh my goodness, I slipped off my chair. Nihal Sarin is playing for a win with 20 seconds on the clock.
I can't believe this. And you know why? Because he knows that he has a draw in his pocket. This knight f6 repetition.
Knight f6, knight c5?
Knight c5! Holy smokes!
Wait, but there's ed4? Queen e7!
Queen e7! No, it's easy. Oh, or this. This is also good.
Oh! And it's just mate!
No, this is just absolute collapse by Ding. King g8 maybe keeps some hopes alive.
Oh my gosh, Ding is absolutely devastated.
I mean, he just, after a blunder, after allowing knight takes h5, I just think he wasn't the same.
Yeah,
obviously.
I mean, he's stunned. He's in complete disbelief, blundering knight takes h5.
I'm a little bit surprised that Nihal didn't play knight takes d5, though. That ended the game immediately.
Yep.
But okay, so does knight g4.
This is shocking. What a day. The underdogs are just dominating today.
But Levy, I don't think this is quite over. Bishop e7, as long as you keep f6 protected, it's not checkmate just yet. I want to see a couple more accurate moves by Nihal in order to actually win this game.
Yeah, I agree. Let's not forget he has 20 seconds. Now, we are about to find out if all that hype is real. The 3160 Blitz rating, the also nearly getting a 50% score against Magnus and Blitz. Like, I mean, Nihal is top 4 on the leaderboard of Chess.com. Let's see if it's for a reason. If you give him any bonus time, it's like a little, jetpack for him to fly across to the finish line. And Ding has to find a way to defend this. And if Nihal finds all the accurate moves, that's sort of it.
Oh, I just realized that after Bishop e7, there's simply Rook c2. I mean, at a minimum. And you force Black to give the queen away because the Rook on c8 is undefended. That's why Ding is actually not moving.
Yeah, because he realizes Rook c2 is there, yeah? So Bishop c5, yeah, that's it.
Rook c2. Rook c2 ends it. And it's not the only move. You can probably play h5 and stuff.
It's not even a question.
Just queen h6 and knight f6. You can actually give up the e1 rook with check
Yep.
And it doesn't matter.
Yep. Knight f6,
Knight
takes,
F6.
takes. Rook e1, king g2, black resigns.
Easy clap. Knight f6 is child's play for Nihal.
That is
Oh,
that is so sick.
sensational. We've got 2-0 in both matches. Levy, if you would have told me that, I would have staked my life savings that it was 2-0 for Nepo. Well, 2-0 for Ding.
Just unbelievable.
That ain't so. It's
That is-
checkmate on g7.
Ding Liren's king is checkmated. This is literally the least likely result that we had about 2 minutes ago. And Nihal Sarin is now up 2-0. Ding Liren on the ropes. It is now must win, or that is it. He is knocked out of the Chess.com Global Championship presented by Brave. This is an astounding scoreline. I'm stunned.
I have no words. I'm shocked. And this game seemed to be going Ding's way. He did everything he had to do. He was playing in a classic Ding style, closed position, making improvements, getting Nihal low on time. Knight h3 to f4 takes h5. You just can't make these kinds of blunders against the likes of Nihal Sarin. I mean, he's going to punish you 1,000,000% of the time. And let's not forget Timur Rajabov. What an absolute beast. Just crazy the way he's been beating Nepo like he's nothing, Levy. Like he's, not just won the Canada, isn't playing for a world championship against Ding Liren, the other guy who's down 2-0.
Oh, it's insane. Both world championship contenders are down 2-0 in their head-to-head matchups. This is legitimately the most shocking day of the Chess.com Global Championship that we have ever had. I mean, there have been days with upsets. There have been days with back-and-forth matches. After 2 games in each of these matches, these are the most unpredicted scores, hands down, guaranteed. I think everybody is stunned right now, and the players who are down to 0 have to win the next 2 games.
They have to recover, and they have a couple of minutes to do that, to win 2 games, and then to win Armageddon. Will either of the players, will Jan Nepomniachtchi or Ding Liren, rise to the occasion? If a player is to rise to the occasion, well, I'm putting my money that one of those two is capable of doing it. Don't go anywhere, because in the other side of this break, the Chess.com Global Championship presented by Brave returns with both World Championship contenders facing a 2-0 deficit. We'll be right back with Game 3. We are witnessing sensational performances all around here at the round of 16 in the Chess.com Global Championship presented by Brave. International Master Levi Rosman, you're looking at the Nepo Rajabov card. No, this is not a typo. 2 1s for Timur. He leads with a score of 2-0, and Nepo will have to mount the first 2-0 comeback in the CGC thus far if he wants to stay in this match.
Yeah. Why did you say International Master Levi Rosman? I feel like that's when you call your parents by their full name. I was so caught off guard by that. Oh, that's okay. That's okay. I'm still talking. It's all good. Yeah, listen, this is if you asked me after 2 rounds what I thought the score would be, I did not think it was going to be 2-0 for either player. And if you told me, hey, it's going to be 2-0, well, listen, no disrespect whatsoever, but it's probably got to go to the person who was voted 96% likely to win this match, right? By the community. And that's currently what's happening in just totally the opposite direction. So it is Timur Rajabov with a 2-0 lead, despite being voted by 4% of the audience to win this match. And he is doing it in literally the most dominant of fashions, while Nihal Sarin voted for 17%, is also up 2-0 in his match. Donnie, can you still hear me? No? No. All right. Well, it's just me solo on the air. It's a worst nightmare situation for the fans. But I suppose we can continue to move along. And I could probably discuss the Nihal versus Ding match or pull up the scoreboard for that one. But that is also a shocking turn of events. A little bit of a different story in that match because in the first round, Nihal sort of showed up and stamped his presence. But in the second game, he was not necessarily fighting back from a defeat, but Oh, you back?
I can hear you now. Yeah, I'm sorry. I have no idea what happened there.
It's all right. I was just explaining to the audience how Nihal Sarin got to his 2-0 lead. In the second game, he was slightly worse, slightly unpleasant position, but he defended it. And literally the moment that Danya, not Danya, I just looked at you and I was so excited to have you back. No, the second that Ding made a mistake, I mean, he was just pounced on. And,
it was easy. I mean, and Nihal, you know what I can't get over? The fact that he decided to go for it with 26 seconds. Can we just stop on that for a second? 4 minutes for Ding. Nihal can take a draw. You're up 1.5. Good result. No. Queen E3. Ice water in his wanes. And Nihal's Ding's chances of coming back in this match just waned by a lot after losing that second game. Just sensational.
It was amazing. And I think we have the first few moves coming of the Nepo versus Rajabov matchup. Listen, we have absolutely nowhere to hide. Jan Nepomniachtchi has to now win 2 games. He has looked, not only has he looked just a bit disheveled, he's also just looked a bit unhappy and stressed out throughout the entire match. I don't know. I'm not seeing a very, I don't know, scary, intimidating Jan.
No, this is wildly uncharacteristic, given his recent performances. He seems discombobulated in the opening. Remember that bishop f4 in the first game? He seems slow and just isn't playing with a whole lot of confidence. And right now, he's got a very clear challenge ahead of him. He's not thinking, I've got to win the next 2 games. He's thinking, I've got to get a good position out of the opening because he hasn't managed to get even remotely the kind of position he wanted in either of the first 2 games left. So that's really step 1 for him.
Yeah, that second game, he had a chance to close the center and start scrapping. It was very clear that his mentality was not to necessarily win with black, and he that's not his style. His style is not to defend a position of dead symmetry. Maybe in the World Championship with 90 minutes on the clock, or whatever the heck the time control is in the World Championship. It's not 90 minutes, it's like 2 hours and then 1 hour.
Hours for 2 minutes, yeah, 30 moves and.
Yep. And that's sort of the standing, you know. Queen d6, and this is some sort of line. These lines are very, they all sort of fuse together in my mind, but I think this is some sort of Italian early d5 line. I think Hikaru likes these lines. Levon likes these lines with black, very aggressive. By the way, b4 looks like a peace trap.
Wait, isn't it? b4. What am I missing here?
I don't know. What am I missing?
What am I missing? b4. Oh, okay. Apparently, okay. I will totally and unashamedly admit that I just cheated. But knight c4, bc. It does win a piece, but after queen g6, dc, black has e4, attacking the knight, winning the piece back. That is just something you have to know. You're not going into this unless you know this.
Wow. Wow.
That's pretty cute, actually.
Yeah, that's savage. I'm just looking like, why is the bishop on c5 got no squares? It's because of this 4-move tactical refutation. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Now, what's interesting, we go back to the live position, this d5 move, it was all a rage, I think, a couple of years ago. Then it fell out of fashion. Now everybody seems to be playing d6 automatically. But Yasser has talked about it on in his commentary before, how opening fashion is really interesting. Openings don't always fall out of favor simply because their batter someone refuted them. That's a very common misconception. Openings often fall out of favor because Magnus Carlsen decided to, play something different. It doesn't always mean the move was refuted or is known to be bad.
Yeah, it's just like fashion trends. It's just like
exactly.
fashion trends. And by the way, I got an update from our stats team, actually from, I think, Mr. Chess.com India himself. And he said that nobody in this year's Chess.com Global Championship has made a comeback from 2-0 down to win the match. We have seen comebacks, but we have not seen a match won once you go down 2-0.
Yeah.
That says a lot. So if somebody can pull it off right now, that would be spectacular. Now, this name is a bit notorious right now in the world of chess. But the most legendary 2-0 comeback that I remember is from Sergei Karyakin. He was down 2-0 in the World Cup, and he won
Svidler.
2 games. Yep, he beat Svidler, and then he played for the World Championship because of that, right? I mean, that was maybe he played because he made it to the final already, but he won the World Cup after going down 2-0. So it's possible. Not likely, but it's possible.
Listen, it's not 5 games, it's not 10 games, it's 2 games of rapid. You think about the amount of games Jan won in the candidates. It is not an impossible task in principle. The problem is just that when you're down 2-0, that generally means your opponent is in much better form. And that generally means your opponent is playing with tremendous confidence. And for Timur, it's just such a luxurious feeling. Okay, worst comes to worst, disaster strikes. Hey, I'm going to get white in the next game, and a draw still wins me the match. So if you're Timur in this situation, you can essentially play with nothing to lose. It's a great feeling. And every move that Jan is playing, he's like, oh, I can't allow this to be a draw. I can't allow this to be a draw. It's like an Armageddon game for only one side.
Yep. Absolutely right. By the way, we have liftoff in the game between Ding Liren and Nihal Sarin. So if we can pull that up, it's a very tough situation for Ding. Nihal is playing a Queen's Gambit accepted. One of the most solid lines here, e6, a6. Ding is going to have to come up with one of the 37 different setups here for white. Okay, he chooses b3.
Yeah, a3, b3, knight d2.
No, it's actually crazy. It's like a3, b3, knight d2, knight c3, bishop d3, bishop e2, bishop b3, queen e2, rook d1. I mean, it's just so many setups.
I was going to say, don't you leave queen e2 out there. I know you have a anti-queen e2 bias. That's unacceptable.
I know, you got like everything. And yeah, the top guys, they love digging around in the sandbox for all of this. I never played this system with black because I couldn't possibly learn all of these lines. I would rather, play some goofy Gambit and Blitz. No, Queen's Gambit accepted is extremely popular right now. And I think it's black's newest attempt at equalizing without much of an effort.
This reminds me of this old game. I think it was Nepo against Rajabov. It was many, many years ago at the Chess.com Global Championship.
Presented by Brave.
Remember that game? Presented by Brave.
Yeah, I remember. I don't remember all of the intricacies.
Who were the commentators?
I think it was. I know Naroditsky was one of the two. Yeah. And then it was some idiot with like a shirt made of his curtains. I don't know. It was it was a fun game, and Rajabov I think got the job done in that game.
Yeah, I seem to vaguely remember that as well. Man, the years have really taken their toll. B6 by Nihal, kind of an interesting moment here, Levy. I think the vast majority of players would just automatically play b5. But the drawback of pushing b5 is that the b pawn becomes a target. It sticks out like a sore thumb. And very often you have to contend with this nasty pawn push to a4, carving out the c4 square for white's knight. b6 is more modest, but it's also a more efficient and more solid way to develop.
Yep. Yes, it is. And it doesn't allow white to get that typical queenside action. White has a microscopic pull in these positions. Nihal, so Ding plays and sits like a chess player. Like, even online, he's got the thinking pose and everything. Nihal plays like an anime character, charging up like a superpower. He sort of sits there, like, head down, just like, and just like charging up, and he just sits so far away. I don't even know how he makes moves. It's like he makes moves telepathically. All right. Like how long is his arm to control the mouse, Oh, now he's getting a little bit closer. But like I'm saying, some people, when they play, they look super focused. Nihal looks like he has to file last year's tax return, okay? And he's late on it or something. He just looks so
Remind me.
I know. Anyway,
I have to call my CPA during the commentary.
No. Listen. You're good. I'm not trying to get anybody audited. But it's just so fun to watch, like, these players playing from their own house, because they're all like in suits and in shirts at the Olympiad and so intense. And then at home, they're just sort of like, they just sit back, relax.
And as we're talking, Nihal's built up a 2.5-minute advantage on the clock. That's how both of the first two games started. Now, the previous game, the situation flipped and Nihal got low on the clock. But, in terms of only needing a draw, this is the best start that you could have dreamed of. 3-minute time advantage already, a position that you are comfortable with. I've seen Queen's Gambit accepted from Nihal for years now. And, man, Ding, he needs a rabbit out of the hat, and he needs it now.
Well, he has to win a chess game. I don't know about pulling livestock out of a hat, but he definitely does, in fact, need to do that. And he has to find a way how. You see how stressed Ding is? It's because this is the position, okay? Like, last game, White didn't have to win. He just sort of did in that Radjabov game versus Nepo. But in this game, you have to win. It's very different when you're up 1-0 and when you're down 2-0. That is a 3-point turnaround, okay? So last game, Rajabov just sort of made moves and then ended up winning the game. But Ding Liren must win. He's trying to find the best way forward. Like, he's probably going to play Queen E2. He's going to play Rook FD1, Rook AC1. But you run out of moves at some point. Like, you actually have to do something, create an attack somewhere.
Yeah,
Ding
Black's
doesn't look happy.
going to do the same thing. 7 Rook C, Rook D8. I think we might see a very symmetrical position here. How is Ding going to unbalance this position? Well, that remains to be seen. I'd like to check into the other game because I think, just looking at the little snapshot, I think that Timur Rajabov might have got himself into a bit of trouble here, maybe more than a bit of trouble. So we've got an endgame. The queens are off the board. Sounds like good news for the side that needs to make a draw. Well, if you actually look at the position, it ain't good news. The knight's jumping into c5 levy. This is a flat-out double attack. Knight e6 and knight takes b7. Black's position is in ruins here. This whole d5 experiment by Timur, I think I'm beginning to see why it fell out of fashion.
I know, seriously, something very strange happened in this game. I mean, the level shift just totally reversed itself. Jan is now up 3 minutes. Jan has a dominant position, and Jan has all of the dynamics in his favor. If only this could have been game 1 for him, right? It's a shame that he's suddenly just down 2-0, but we still have 2 games to go. Crazier things have happened, and yeah, he looks just completely poised to begin his comeback.
He really does. Let's pull up an analysis board just to indicate the extent to which Black's position is terrible. So currently the bishop is hanging. After bishop takes g3, fg, I think the only way to defend against both threats is rook b8. But it's not the end of the story. I mean, White can make a move like d4. Just look at the extent of White's dominance. Knight on c5 levy. The rooks are perfectly positioned. It's not because of one specific reason that Black is in trouble. It's just Black's position sucks. I don't know of a more scientific way to put it.
I completely agree with you, and Black has no moves. And also, this is just not something you ever want to do. Like, if the options are this position, not down a pawn, or way more active, but down a pawn, you're going to choose the one that's down a pawn. But that means you're down a pawn, just in case anyone's not clear about the math of that situation.
If we're down a pawn.
Yeah, like, even, this is preferred, because you see, Rajabov is probably going to sacrifice b7. I don't know. I don't know how he's going to do it. Maybe he won't. But if he tries to defend everything in his position, then, yeah. I mean, this is like say, there you go.
Yeah, but you've sacked b7, and now he's just going to dip back to c5 and.
Danny, I know, man.
At the b7 pawn.
I know. You just have the same position, but now you're a pawn down. Oh, he plays rook b8, right?
He does go for this line, yes. He's trying to keep all his pawns intact.
Yep.
But Nepo, the great thing about a position like this with white is that white is in no hurry. You can play d4, you can bring your king up. You can basically do what Timur was doing to you in the previous game when he was up a pawn. Now you can give him a taste of his own medicine.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to be a repeat of one of the d4. This is exactly the position that you put on the board, and this just looks completely miserable. Does black even have a move? Oh.
That's what he's got to try. Knight a5, knight c4.
Rook e7, though? Just give it up. What do you need the bishop for? Just rook e7.
I'll take the bishop, and I think you're right. I think Rajabov is going to have to strategically try to sack probably the b7 pawn and try to get the rook off of the 7th rank. I don't know how he's going to do that, though.
Yep. Me neither. No, he decides to keep the bishop.
Greedy man.
I don't even know if it's greedy. He's not even keeping any material. He's just, well, can't you play like b3? What is the idea here?
Knight d6.
Rook e7 anyway? Then knight d5.
Knight d5.
Then knight d5. Okay, but you could play c4. C4.
And Nepo is pre-moving c4.
Yeah.
No, this is just getting worse and worse. Knight e6. The position, I don't use this phrase lightly. I think it's an overused phrase by commentators. The position basically plays itself.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it speaks for
usage.
itself. Right, I thought you were going to say it speaks for itself, but
that's an underused phrase.
Yeah, well, it does speak for itself and it does play itself. You notice the last 5 moves by white made in seconds.
Yep, and this is more like the Nepo that we're used to seeing.
We're used to seeing, and also, yeah, this is his style of game. Downhill, powering through, just beast mode, it sort of feels like, right?
Mm-hmm. And it just, I think a lot of his problems in the first 2 games had to do with his opening choice. I don't want to overanalyze this, over-psychologize, but I think Nepo just got so fed up with the position that he got in game 1. He's like, I had the white pieces, could have played a Catalan, could have played 1e4. Instead, I basically get a lost position out of the opening. It feels like only now he's beginning to forgive himself and play the kind of chess that we're used to see him playing. Is it too late? Maybe not. I mean, if he wins this game, he puts himself in a pretty good position.
Yeah, it's not too late for this game. Is it too late to win with black? It very well could be. I think that game that he lost with black will probably hurt more than the game that he lost with white in the first one, because that last game was just completely symmetrical, right? And yeah, he'll definitely be upset.
That's an interesting perspective. That the previous game really hurt him, but hey, he still has work to do on the board. Timur Rajabov is not just going to, fold over and die. Oh no, not I. And he does decide to sack a pawn. Unfortunately, the relief seems very short-lived. C6, maybe try to get the knight back to d7. Could you see a universe where Timur saves this game?
Oh, that would be so annoying. That would be so annoying. Jan just deserves a win. No, I know some chess purists in the chat are going to be like, nobody deserves a win. But this is such a great position with white. Jan, just put it away. Just pretend you're playing me.
Nobody deserves a win.
Yeah, but I keep saying, if they were playing me in Title Tuesday, for example, the game would have been over 10 moves ago. You know what I'm saying? Just put it away. We all want to, we all want to see a game 4. We don't want to see anybody go home in 3 games.
I'm going to make a very bold prediction.
No, stop it.
I think Timur is going to save this.
Come on, stop it.
I don't know. I'm just getting that feeling. Knight c8, knight d6.
And what? And knight c8, rookie. I can't go rook e6 though. But
hey, on the board.
Knight d7. Knight d7 forces the rook to the corner.
The thing is, optically, white's tandem is so much stronger, but what is it going to attack? The one silver lining for black here, literally the only one, is that there are no remaining targets in black's position. So in order to win this game, white's either going to have to get a rook to e8, which is hard, or create a passed pawn. But there's a timing issue. It's not easy to choose the proper moment to play d5.
Yeah, and if you play c5, you say, haha, you can't put your knight on d6. But then your opponent says, okay, I'm going to put my knight on d5, which is probably even better.
Joke's on you.
Yeah, that knight is... I don't know, though. You could play c5, knight e7, knight c4, knight d5, knight d6. You can do this. Or knight a5. Ooh, knight a5 looks really good, actually.
Wait. Repeat that phrase. Who's knight to a5?
c5.
Okay.
Knight e7,
Analysis
knight
board,
c4.
Please.
Knight c4, knight d5, knight a5.
Attack. I have to play rook b8.
Rook b8.
None of those arrows were accurately drawn.
And you still can't win the damn pawns. It's absurd.
Yeah, you just can't quite get the rook to the 7th. Okay, Nepo has made a move. Let's go back to live position. Let's see what he has decided. Rook f4, and he has played c5, and he's done it at a moment when Black, he's maximized the time that it takes for Black to get that knight around to d5.
Yep, knight b5. So now Black, okay, so he's forcing the
knight
knight.
c3. Maybe.
Oh, man.
And then maybe rook to d8.
What is Jan trying to do here?
I think a4 is a very careless move. It sends the knight where it wants to go. And you know what I think he missed? I think he forgot knight c3 was a thing. I think he thought if the knight has to go back to c7, yeah, you play rook f7, everything's in order. But it's a little bit more complicated.
Yeah, but I think it's still really good for white. Like, I think losing d4 for b7 is still a massive plus for white. Because you can remove the knight from d4, right? And you can always try to win c6 and a7. But it's getting sharp, which I don't know who that benefits, but counterplay is certainly...
See what I'm saying, though?
Mm-hmm. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I think he also just missed knight c3 with knight e2. It's just not what you were expecting.
Definitely missed it. He definitely missed it. You can tell because he's taking a long time. And there's also the psychological component. You know, Nepo's already annoyed at himself. He's already on edge about the way he's playing. All it takes is one little seed of doubt, and all of a sudden the situation tumbles out of control. But I like rook f7. I think he's still on the right track, and if he can get Timur, down below 2 minutes, his chances of winning are still very, very high. But hey, I made my prediction. I'm going to stick to it.
Yeah, so now king f2 or king g2?
Okay, there's our answer.
Question asked, question answered.
Rook e8 and rook e2. Black's getting counterplay.
Oh my goodness.
Oh man.
Wait, what did he have to play instead of...
Why did the eval go? Or were you supposed to not move the king after knight e2? Apparently the move is king g2, knight takes d4, rook takes b7. Oh, and now there's knight f3. And the crazy thing, with the king on f2, there's rook f8 pinning the knight. Here you say, but rook e2 wins the knight. No, it doesn't, because the king drops back to f1, making contact with the rook. That is crazy level of subtlety.
I had a feeling. Yeah, I was gonna say I had a feeling going to f2 was maybe bad because the king was in the open, but it also makes sense because you want to get the king involved in the endgame. You don't want the king stuck on the g file. And this is insane. Is Rajabov actually going to save this position? That's so wild.
He's basically drawing this. I mean, knight takes b3 is now an unstoppable threat, Levy. Try that on for size. If you move the knight away from c4, you lose c5. White's queen side is suddenly getting pulverized.
I can't believe it. This is nuts. He's actually going to make a comeback. It's back to almost equal.
And how quickly did he do that? I mean, 5 moves ago, White was in the driver's seat. Black didn't even have a car. Now, White's the one Ubering everywhere. Black's got a Ferrari.
I know. This is just incredible. Wow.
What a crazy turn of events. We still have the other game, of course, but this is really the game that's on everyone's minds right now, I think.
Yeah, this is wild. Wow.
Nihal's a great position in the meantime. Okay,
Nihal has a great position?
I believe he does.
Oh, okay. I don't know where we want to go. We got a rook and knight endgame here to decide the match. We got Nihal with a better position. That's great. Are we actually going to be out here in 6 games?
We very well might, the way things are going right now. I still think that Timur has a lot of work to do. Jan, in his best days, knows how to complicate these types of positions. So he is going to fight to the last drop of blood. Knight a5 is a clear indicator of that. He doesn't want to give away any more pawns than necessary on the queen side. And Levy, the most important thing, of course, is for White to keep the passed pawn on a4. And it will become passed after White takes on a7 on the next move.
Yeah, the Key here for black is the draw along the second rank with knight f3 and some perpetual, but it doesn't quite exist. Let's let Timur think. Let's go check in on Nihal very briefly. And you told me he has a great position. Wow.
Holy smoke.
He's up 3 minutes, and he's better with black.
And he's not just better, he's forcing a queen trade. He's dominating in the center. Look at the way he's positioned his pieces. Ding hasn't even finished his queenside development.
Yeah, this is incredible.
I think black should just trade queens, play rook d8, and claim that I'm never going to lose that in a million years.
Nihal thinks that. I'm sorry. I thought he just played a move because you highlighted a square. No, he's just convincingly better. It's like no questions asked. Yeah, I mean, you can trade queens and play to not lose. You can probably do even more than that. I wonder if he already has some tactic like queen d1 and knight c2. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking at different ways for him to start attacking. And yeah.
These young players, they're not just going to grovel for a try. I think Nihal is seriously considering going for 3-0 with queen c7 and rook d8. White's queen is feeling mighty claustrophobic there, surrounded by, hemmed in by its own pieces. So big decision here for Nihal. I think queen takes d1 is the move you play if you want to make that professional draw. But after queen c7, I don't see him losing that game either.
Oh, what a day for Nihal. What a day. We've got to start respecting him as the future coming out of India for speed chess for sure. He is not yet 2700 classical, but I really feel like he just doesn't play enough, and he probably will be.
I totally agree with that idea. I think I know this is rapid. This is a different animal. That is true, but you don't just accidentally stumble into what very well could be a 3-0 win against the world championship contender. You just don't. It just doesn't happen by accident. And I've been saying that Nihal will be 2,700 for a while now. I stand by that. I think he's going to be a force to be reckoned with in the years to come.
Yeah,
but I mean, he still has work to do in this game.
Yeah, he has work to do in this game and in this match. But by the way, him not being 2,700 really doesn't mean a whole lot, considering he's at basically his highest rating ever in classical. So he's never been at a higher rating. It's like 2 points away from his peak. So give him a few classical tournaments over the board, and I think he'll be just fine.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you made a great point earlier about the difference in rating means a lot less these days than it did in the past. 2600s beating 2750. You barely bat an eye. A Wonder Liang crushes Levon Aronian, the U.S. Championship. It's a great game. But you're not as surprised as you would be, let's say, 10 years ago. I mean, just echoing your point from earlier, it's the Wild West out there. And these top GMs better watch out because the young guns are coming.
Yeah. A new one is emerging every day. And the cream of the crop of the junior players just keeps getting better and better. And once these clashes actually happen, the young guys are winning. They're just straight up winning. We are seeing here.
And they're no longer afraid. They're no longer making decisions because, my opponent is 2,800, so he must have seen this and that line. They are trusting themselves, and that, I think, is the single scariest transformation that's happened to these players.
That's incredible to see. How does Nihal actually put this away, though? Why is he so much better? What, does he have some knight c2?
Well, I think he lost a little bit of his advantage by trading queens, but he knew that, and that's why he invested so much time. I think the idea, knight c2, knight c4. You can also park the knight back on d5 if you want to just play a5. So black can take it easy here.
Yeah, well, black can take it easy. Ding Liren cannot take it easy.
No.
Liren's got to go.
Yeah, I don't know how he's... If you give like 5 moves, how does White even produce chances? I mean... silence, radio silence.
I don't know. I really don't know. You probably have to try to get like a knight versus bishop endgame, like knight versus dark square bishop. Like Daniel also doesn't know. He's leaving.
I'm leaving. I'm closing my blinds. Sunny.
Oh yeah, yeah. Sunny's not good. Are those salmon shorts?
They are. No, they're red. And guess what? Turn on my backlight. I'm taking steps in life.
Yeah, wow, that's you salmon shorts kind of guy. You got the Shure mic. Is that the mic that you have?
Yes, but I'm not totally sure.
Is it the Shure SM7B with like
Did you miss my pun? It is indeed.
Oh, I did miss your pun. Yeah, so we got to commentate more. I know you're always hitting Robert Hess with puns. I didn't. That's
the level of intellect of those puns is really. I mean, they're hard to spot.
Yeah, they're tough. They're layered. There's a lot of kind of underlying. I can't even think of a good word to follow up there. But yeah. But speaking of which, look at Ding Liren. Ding Liren is going back to the first rank to figure out what's next in the position.
But look at Nihal's clock.
Yeah.
Nihal,
fair.
I mean, listen, he's incredibly level-headed, but he must be feeling nervous right now. Toronto is literally on the line. He's going to Canada with a $200,000 first prize if he draws this game. How can you not be feeling at least a little bit of jitters, a little butterflies in your stomach?
Yeah, if going to Canada might make you more nervous than potentially winning $200,000. It's Canada. What the hell are you even doing there?
Land of Amon Hamilton, wild land. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just moose just walking on the streets in Canada. Just maple syrup spilled all over the place. I don't know. I was once in Edmonton, Canada, and let me tell you that was the only time in my life I hope I ever go to Edmonton, Canada. But the other places are not bad. Nihal, look at Nihal. Nihal's like, I'm gonna go Google some flights after this.
Yeah. All right, you're gonna do some airlines. Well, A5 is another great move. It protects the knight with the pawn, taking the load off of the bishop. Why? So that the bishop can move to D4 and knock off this E5 pawn. If he can get Ding to play F4, that's another major weakness. That's more vulnerable squares and more prospects for Black's knight. Ugh.
Yeah. This is not looking great. By the way, Rajabov has 40 seconds. Let's go check in on that matchup.
Let's check it out. I think Timur might have lost his grip on the position. All right, 20 seconds. There we go. Nepo's still up a pawn.
The grip has certainly been lost. Let's put it this way. I wonder if Rook D2, Knight B3, Rook D8, and Rook B8 is winning or not. Okay,
Nepo, Knight C4. Ugh.
Okay, he's just gonna push.
He's pushing. His entire claim is staked on this pawn. How is Timur going to stop it? Is he going to play Knight B5? No. I mean, how do you defend this with 16 seconds?
You probably don't. Knight B6.
Yeah, Knight B6. But now Knight B5. I think this is the last stand for Timur. A7 would be a terrible blunder here, but Nepo, look at him playing fast.
Yeah.
7. Still not over.
That is a depressing move to have to make, but respectable.
Lest we forget, material is equal.
King E3, King D4, King C5. Just let the king go do it with his bare hands.
Whatever you do, don't walk into King F8, Knight D7. Black, I think, wants to play Rook B5 and then start walking with his own king.
Okay.
Don't go King F8.
Yeah, he won't. King D4, Rook D5. And then...
King E4?
No, I know, but... Oh, and then Knight C6 is a threat.
Yep, so Timur trying to save time. Rook E2 by Nepo. So we're Rook A5? I thought Rook A5 there was a big chance to win the pawn. He plays it now.
Knight D7, Knight B8 or Knight C5? Okay.
Rook A1 maybe?
Or Rook A3?
No, he's trying to knock. This construction is very fragile. Black threatens Knight D6. And you could lose your knight on C5 in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, Knight B6 is also a threat. King B4, Rook B5 ideas.
I guess Knight B6, you're going to have to play King D4, but I agree. That's very undesirable. Your king is moving in the wrong direction.
This is so tough.
12 seconds for Timur. You'd think this is in the bag for Nepo, but it most certainly is not, given the way this match has gone.
No, it absolutely isn't. This is very stressful if you're a Nepo fan right now.
How do you create progress against Black's fortress? Like
maybe
Rook D2?
No, I was going to say Rook C2 and try to keep the knight defended anytime you move the king.
Oh my goodness, Levy, but instead he's gone King D4. And how do you stop the knight from jumping to B5 and then back to D6?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, I think rook c2 now you have to play. Oh
Yeah,
my
or-
god, but then knight b5, knight c7.
Yeah, and you're just going to he just plays g4. Oh my
Knight
goodness.
b5, knight c7 wins the pawn. It saves the game on the spot.
He's just gonna lose his a pawn.
He's losing his a pawn, and you could draw that with 2 seconds. Rajabov can pre-move knight c7.
This is so wild.
This is just so uncharacteristic by Nepo. I mean, he had a lot of chances this game, and black is better. I mean, listen,
I
he's
know.
winning a6. He's not even losing the c pawn.
Wow, that is so shocking. You were right, but this is just incredible. Yeah, and Jan looks away. He has nothing. He has absolutely no tricks. Knight a6 is completely forced.
0. The black king is safer than, I don't even know what's the safest thing I can think of, but there's no force. There's no nothing.
This is unbelievable.
I mean, just 12 seconds, no problem. Okay, last trick, but no, that's not even a trick. Just knight takes a6.
Yep.
King g6 and knight e6. Okay, this is what Nepo's going for. Oh, and what a circumspect move there by Timur to stop the knight from jumping into e6 and winning the g-pawn.
Nepo, Rajabov is just up a pawn. He just has more pawns than white now. That's it.
If he wasn't in a situation where a draw wins him the match, Rajabov would decline a draw here. Maybe even with the amount of time he has. Like, try that on for size.
I mean, I suppose you. I mean, you could play for a flag, right? Like you could really, because your chances of going home.
2 seconds.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, actually, seriously, Rook h7.
Hey,
Like, let's
Nepo
go.
still has, obviously Nepo still has a chance here. I mean, when your opponent has 4 seconds, a mouse slip, a blunder, 1 second.
Oh my god, this is actually extremely stressful.
We're going to Canada. Rook h7.
You have Rook h7. Wait, what? Oh boy.
He's won a pawn back. There's 1. There goes 1. But it's still a dead draw, Levy, because this pawn on g5 is holding
I know.
both of white's pawns.
He's giving up a second pawn too because he wants Rook e3. Yep, King e. Yep, that makes sense. 3 seconds.
King d4 and knight e4. 1 second.
Lose on time. Oh, 0.1 on the clock.
Oh my god. Oh, and he blundered a second pawn. Oh, Timur is getting nervous here. He still should be able to draw this.
Oh my goodness, this isn't Rook d6 or something. I mean,
Rook
control
c7.
Yeah, Rook c7.
And knight e4. Rook d6, your move.
Rook g6. I don't know. Go somewhere. Rook b6 something.
King f7 back though.
Yeah, that's smart. Oh, he's gonna go Rook b. Okay. He wants knight d5.
He's gonna play it.
This
And
is
where
so-
is Black's king going to go?
Knight e4. Okay.
E3. Now
Where's
Nepo
the-
has 55 seconds.
Yeah, where are you running here? Like, what is the way forward?
I think you zigzag your way to the queen side.
Aha.
And you ask politely ask Black how he plans to defend the g5 pawn.
Maybe he doesn't. Maybe he doesn't defend it. He just tries to. Okay, that's how he's gonna defend it.
Oh, Rook h. Wait, what does Black do? What's the move? He's got 1 second.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, he wins the pawn on h3.
Oh, that's how he's gonna defend it, by not defending it.
But still, this is so hard to defend. Knight takes g5, and white can torture that position for a long time.
Yeah, you don't even have to take. Yeah, knight f7, knight g5 is good. I mean, 3
Now
seconds. with some
remember,
more.
Black can give away the knight for the white's pawn. And
Yep.
that's a pretty easy one to draw. Now, I would have played knight f6 there.
Yeah, this is rook and knight versus rook is just very simple draw actually.
Gotta interrupt you. Nihal Sarin has won his game, has drawn his game, and he is going to Canada.
That's just incredible. Oh my
1
goodness.
second. I'm gonna watch this.
Yeah, this is so stressful.
stressful.
G5, you gotta go G5. Yep.
King f8. I would have gone. Okay, knight g4. Oh,
Yep. King f4, knight f2. Hello. Hello.
I think Timur is going to Canada. I think we're going home. Knight f8 intermezzo.
Oh my gosh.
Still not over. Oh, rook e4 and knight d6.
Rook b8 check, only move. But then king
Rook
g7.
b8 and king f. No, rook takes c4 is a draw.
Rook e4. Rook e4.
Rook e4. That's it. Rook e4 and he's going to Canada. Not yet.
Oh, not yet.
Rook e4 was ending the game.
But I guess Timur wants to sack the knight for the pawn. King g6, knight g...
I don't
No?
I don't like what he's doing. He's going to have to give away the knight, and he's going to have to do it right now.
Oh, he does it. Okay, that's it. Here we go. 50
Buckle in,
moves
ladies
remaining.
and gentlemen.
Yeah, the only way that Timur loses this game is by getting mated, losing on time, or hanging his rook, all of which seem completely improbable.
Improbable, but not impossible. Levy,
Yep.
he missed rook takes knight, which was an immediate draw. Now he's going to have to be tortured. He's going to have to pray to the internet gods.
Yeah, just go far away. Go far away to avoid any knight forks and just walk your king around the board and hope that you don't lose on time.
Yeah. Now we should clarify that rook and bishop versus rook is it's like a different type of endgame. Here, you don't even have to know any technique. All you have to know is don't miss a fork, because even if the king is pushed to the back rank, the side of the knight has 0 winning chances. The only reason you lose is like you fall asleep. And now Timur has 10 seconds on his clock. This should be a pretty standard draw. Oh.
Yeah, well, that's not going to happen.
And also, I've seen people miss a discovered check in these types of games.
Yes, it is certainly possible. And yeah, I mean, Nepo is within his right 100% to play on. A lot of people might sit there and go, "Oh, why is he not taking the draw?" Well, because this is it. I mean, this is the game. He has to win, and
I think it would be disrespectful if he didn't play on.
Yep.
Like, of course he's playing on. Anything can happen. You guys, everybody has to realize they 8 seconds on the clock. We've seen much crazier things happen.
Rook g5. It's crazy how close you are to getting forked at any moment, but this is there are no forks, there are no mates.
There's no nothing. We're 125 moves in. I think we are 27 moves in. So Timur only needs about 22 more moves, and Nepo hasn't even gotten him onto the side of the board.
Nope. And he had him on the side of the board to start. It doesn't matter because the king, the rook, and the knight never have peace. They never just get to walk up to the enemy king and deliver a mate. The black rook constantly gets in the way. You meddling kids, and Scooby-Doo. And that the black rook just continues to ask questions, and this might be our longest game. This might be our knight f3, by the way, was a fork, but white would have lost a rook, so that doesn't work. And
he's gonna get him onto but it doesn't matter. See, king c3, rook h3. So Timur can rest peacefully here. Doesn't matter where the king is, as you said.
Yeah, this is incredible. I did not expect these matches. I did not expect either of these matches to end in 3 games, and I did not expect either of these results, which is just unbelievable. Just absolutely incredible. I mean,
you can take it. You can take the knight. That's it.
Yep.
And Nepo offering a draw. Timur's going to Canada.
Timur Rajabov punches his ticket, the final player to qualify for the round of 8 in the Chess.com Global Championship. We will see you in Toronto, hopefully. There's a whole thing about visas. But, whether we get him there or not, he has made his mark. He has won his group. He has taken down the top seed, and he smiles.
Yeah, finally allows himself a discharge of what must be some incredibly intense emotions. But let's not forget, Nihal Sarn is the second hero of the day. Both players advancing to Canada on the heels of a ridiculously convincing victory. 2 wins in a row to start the match. Levy, it will take me some time to process what we just saw here today.
Yep. What an absolutely amazing set of matches. Truly. We came into today with 3 players, and 2 of them up on your screen right now, who have just played in the most recent candidates. They finished 1st and 3rd, respectively. I mean, they were amazing in the classical portion earlier this year. They were very clearly the top 2 seeds in the group. And, well, I mean, what more to say? You expected a barn burner of a match, but did we expect such a dominant display from one side? Maybe not. Maybe not. And Timur is showing the world that if he's going to beat Jan Nepomniachtchi, who before the entire event I chose as the winner, well, he's saying, nope, that's out the window now. I'm the captain, and you better look at me. You better respect me. You better respect what I bring to the table. The way Rajabov is playing, the way we have seen several players throughout these early rounds build up that momentum, Danya, I really feel like we are witnessing kind of story arcs in many ways. And
we're witnessing a
No.
sorry, go on. Yeah,
go ahead. Go ahead.
We're witnessing. I think you really called it at the start. We're witnessing these quote unquote low-rated players who are pushing all that to the side, you know, and showing that they don't care who they're playing against. They believe in the chess that they play. Well, Timur Rajabov most certainly did. And our brave move of the day, Levy, I chose this full disclosure without your consultation, but I don't think you'll have a problem with this because this is what started the fire. This is what led the genie out of the box. It was game one. Jan, a very unfortunate opening experiment, and Timur Rajabov punishes it in style. In this position, it appears that White has great control over the center. Nothing's going to happen, right? Well, how wrong would you be if you thought that? You'd be forgiven because b7, b5 comes out of the blue, forcing the c-pawn out of the picture, and d5 to open up the e-file comes next. And after the e-file opens, the pressure on the knight by the bishops, by the queen, by the rook was insurmountable, Levy, and Rajabov finished it off in style. This wasn't just a brave move of the day. These were the brave moves of the day, and he was making moves of the day all match long.
Yeah, he really was. That move b5 is amazing. They say that the punches that hurt the most are the ones that you don't see coming. It looked like White had some stability there, but boom! b7, b5 on the board, d7, d5, the 1-2 combo from Rajabov, and I mean, he just carried that momentum throughout the match. Really, it got off to a bad start for Nepo, and it never really got better.
It never did. It only got worse, one could argue, as Timur wins an equal endgame in the second game to push Nepo against the wall. It was incredible, and now the bracket, the round of 8, is fully set. We know who's going to Canada. We know who's going to be booking their flights this week, and it ain't going to be who we thought it was. Levy, both of these results are crazy, and the stage is set for an incredible final in Toronto as we look at the completed Group E bracket, and it is Timur Rajabov who outlasts his opposition. Incredible.
Yeah, absolutely incredible. Timur has risen up a level. He is not just the solid, reliable with white and with black super grandmaster that we have all come to expect. In fact, you may remember prior to the candidates, he was literally given, I believe, the second or the lowest percentage chance of winning. And he said, I'm going to show you all what's up. And he got third place. I'm not saying he was given that the low of a chance here in the Chess.com Global Championship, but he's going up against Jan Nepomniachtchi, who is the favorite in this group. And he said, nope, doesn't matter. 3 games, the minimum amount of time I need to win. He played an amazing set of games today, and he is the rightful winner of his group, and he is the rightful qualifier to the Final 8 in Toronto.
He is indeed, and our second rightful qualifier is Nihal Sarin. Let's take a look at their match score. It's uncanny how similar these two matches were in terms of their arc. Disaster strikes in game 1 for Ding. Now, unlike Nepo, it seemed that he was composed in game 2. It seemed, okay, he's going to create some chances with the black pieces, but it was not meant to be. Nihal, with ice water in his veins, in his veins, however you want to say it, knight f4 and knight takes h5 ended all of Ding's hopes to make it to Canada. Nihal Sarin, he didn't just beat Ding Liren. Let's not forget, Levy, he defeated Rauf Mamedov in the previous round in incredible fashion. Oh, and by the way, in between, yeah, he beat some guy named Vladimir Kramnik. This is one of the most amazing runs of all time. I think that's not an exaggeration.
Yeah, when we started this event with the hundreds of qualifying players and then the round of 64, 32, and 16, and now down to 8, we looked at which of the young stars would make it to this live final. We had Eric Geisy, right? We had a couple of other young talented players. Raunak Sadwani was in, and ultimately none of them made it except for Nihal Sarin. And to get there, he had to take out one of the best chess players in Azerbaijan, Olympic, I think, board 4 for them. He had to take out Vladimir Kramnik, who is arguably a top 5 player of all time. Literally, that's not an exaggeration. Look up the career of Vladimir Kramnik. And then he beats Ding Liren, who is playing for the World Championship, who is the second highest rated chess player in the world, and I believe the only one currently above 2,800, not named Magnus Carlsen, and he beat him in 3 games. I mean, what more do you want? This is literally ridiculous. This is the best storyline of this event. How do you not favor Nihal Sarin now in Toronto? I don't know. You have a legitimate case that he could be a 1 or 2 favorite.
He really could. I mean, he's such a dangerous rapid player. He always comes armed, it seems, with the right types of openings. He feels so comfortable in certain types of positions. And when he gets those positions, the scariest thing, as I said before, is that he doesn't care who sits across from him. Historically, a lot of younger players, they changed the way they play because I'm playing this guy, I'm playing that guy. Not anymore. The stronger players, they're going to have to come bluff free because players like Nihal Sarin are coming to get them. And he's going to be coming to get them in Toronto. And before he's going to be doing that, he will be joining us for an interview. And I simply cannot wait for that. But we're going to have to wait for that. And we're going to ask Nihal all about his experiences in the match. But we wanted to remind you before we set Nihal up that the Chess.com Global Championship is brought to you by Brave. Brave means private browsing and so much more. By default, Brave blocks ads and trackers on every page and video you visit, even on YouTube. No ads means up to 3 times faster page loads, faster streaming, and faster playback. It means 35% longer battery life while saving on mobile data and internet bandwidth. For Android, iOS, and desktop, get the best browser for gamers, streamers, and creators. Switch in 60 seconds at brave.com/chess. Well, Nihal is about to brave the commentary studio. He will be joining us for an interview. Do not go anywhere. You're watching the Chess.com Global Championship presented by Brave, and we will have one of the top 8 Toronto finalists, Nihal Sarin, in the studio on the other side of this short break.
Your subscription makes shows like this possible, which is why our Twitch subscribers will never see ads on Chess.com. Connect your Chess.com account and Twitch account at go.chess.com/connect accounts, and bang, boom, voila, you're done. 100% ad-free bliss forevermore. Whether you're following our events on site or on stream, type the command connect in the chat, and thank you for helping bring these shows to life.
Welcome back to the Chess.com Global Championship presented by Brave. We are joined by the Gladiator Grandmaster Nihal Sarin, fresh off a crushing defeat of Ding Liren to move on to the final 8 in Toronto. Nihal, thank you for joining us and a hearty congratulations. Can you start by talking us through your emotions right now and what you felt right after you secured the draw in the third game?
Thank you very much. I did not expect this at all. I was just hoping to put up a good fight and see what happens. Then the first game, I think I managed to play really well, and that gave me some confidence. And the second game, I swindled him somehow. Then it was really, and also in the third game, I got a good position out of the openings, so it was much smoother than I could ever imagine.
Nihal, you're one of the few young players who is in a really funny spot because, correct me if I'm wrong, you've never played a chess game against Ding Liren until today. Is that accurate? Oh, can Nihal not hear me anymore?
Sorry, I heard something else in the background.
Nihal, can you hear me now?
This is our producer.
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Nihal, sorry. I asked you, you're in a very unique position. One of our scorecards today showed you had no head-to-head games against Ding Liren. That's obviously true for over the board, but even online, we couldn't find any games. Have you literally never played Ding Liren before? What is that like? I mean, how do you even prepare for that?
No, I just have never played him, actually.
Wow. So how does it go for preparation? You just look at his lines, his tendencies, and you just say, okay, well, I have nothing.
Yeah, I hardly prepared, actually. I was playing I played in Spanish League and European Club Cup, so I was already quite tired of those two tournaments, and also did quite a bit of work for the tournament. So I just, for the match, I just prepared for barely 1-2 hours. Maybe.
No, that's amazing.
Yeah, just stuck to my lines.
I adopted that strategy. Unfortunately, I don't think I'd have quite the same results. Nihal, in the round before, you defeated some guy named Vladimir Kramnik, pretty weak player. Just kidding, of course. Does it mean something special for you to beat someone like Kramnik? And did you train with Kramnik at all when he went over to India? What is it like to defeat someone like that in a match?
Yeah, it was just a great feeling, and it's just a great honor for me to play a match against guys like Kramnik, Ding, and so many strong players in this tournament. And no, I was not part of the team that Kramnik trained in India, so never got to work with him.
Because Kramnik, I know there was some delegation of young players who were trained by Kramnik back in the day. That is true. Nihal, my question is, you're always top 5 on Chess.com in Blitz and Bullet, but you're also rising rapidly in Classical. You are not yet 2,700, but I'm sure that we can expect that from you in some months. It's really just, we're sort of just like, yeah, it's going to happen. No problem. So out of curiosity, which of the two, what is the balance? Does Blitz and Bullet prepare you better for this kind of online rapid, or is it the Classical and the preparation and just being confident in your openings? Because we see you frequently have 15 minutes on the clock after 10, 15 moves. So which of the two do you think helps more, or does everything help?
I think it's more like everything helps. The preparation, the opening preparation part comes from mostly classical chess, and so you get to prepare good openings, and definitely the online Blitz and Bullet practice helps, especially in time trouble, where it can be really tough if you are not used to the interface and all that. So I think it's a mixture of both.
Got it.
Final question for me. This is a featured chat question. Someone in the chat was wondering if King G7 in game 1 against Ding, you were playing very quickly in the opening. Is it okay for you to reveal whether King G7 was still part of your preparation? And if so, when did your prep end in that game?
I knew King G7. I think I remembered it correctly. And King G7, I think it ended after knight e2. I go bishop d6, and it's just a solid position. There's like king g7,
But
knight
still
e2,
was
bishop d6,
members.
and knight e2. Yeah, I don't know what's the point of king g7, but okay.
But it's just what it says, so you just play it, and yeah. Nihal, last question, just overall before we let you go. You have now made it to the round of 8. I don't know if you know who your next opponent is, but it seems like it's Levon Aronian. So I believe you have played him. I don't know what your extent of experience is playing against Levon, how many times you've played against each other. What do you expect? What can we expect from you in a few weeks as we play our final 8?
It's just I'll just try to play good chess, and I'm just very happy to make it to top 8. I don't think I've played Levon actually again. I think probably played some like friendly blitz or bug house over the board, but that's it.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
We will be watching with great anticipation, Nihal, as you play the top 8 in Toronto. See you in Canada. Thank you so much for joining us for the interview. Congratulations once again.
Congrats, Nihal.
Thank you.
Okay, and that's all she wrote. The final 8 have been determined. We know who's going to Toronto. And that big word, champion. It's going to be decided in just a couple of weeks, Levy. What a ride it's been.
It's been just an amazing ride. And I think the busiest people for the next few weeks are not even going to be the players. It is going to be the visa processing centers of their respective cities and countries, as getting approval to actually travel at the moment is kind of up in the air. The players will be busy preparing for their matchups. Visa processing centers will be busy refusing visas on completely empty grounds. And it's going to be a fun time for everybody involved. Listen, Danya, when we started that bracket preview, that feels like it was literally ages ago.
I know.
And here we are. And then there were 8. 7 players, actually no, 6 players of the 8 in our quarterfinals you saw in the last candidates tournament. One of these players you have seen dominate in our rapid events for months. And the other one, Nihal Sarin, the underdog, the teenager, the youngest of the field by something like 10 years. I think the closest person to him is maybe Duda in age. Just incredible. I mean, what more can you say? This is what we wanted. We got 1 out of 8 this time. Maybe in the second edition of this event, half the field will be, young teenage prodigies, but this is just sublime. I'm so excited.
No, it's been an amazing run. It's been such a privilege to have courtside seats as we watch this field get thinner and thinner. We started with 128 players. It's like there's going to be so many matches. We're never going to get to Toronto. And as you said, Levy, here we are. The visa processing centers are indeed very busy. The finals will be coming your way at the start of November. And the atmosphere, the tension is going to be amplified by the fact that it will be taking place in person with everyone's favorite players involved. And I'm just so pumped to see the likes of Hikaru Nakamura and, of course, Nihal Sarin contesting that $200,000 first prize. It'll be awesome. You will not want to miss it, and mark your calendars. Well, on that note, ladies and gentlemen, the online portion of the Chess.com Global Championship has concluded. The final 8 will be coming your way from Toronto at the start of November. International Master Levy Rosman, great pleasure to commentate with you all throughout the last couple of months. This has been such an amazing ride, made all the better by who I get to commentate with. I'll throw back to you for your final reflections before we wrap it up.
No, this is everything we've wanted. High stakes chess with the best players in the world, with emotions being displayed live on camera to an audience that awaits not just great brilliancies, but also tragic blunders and everything in between. That is basically it for the portion of the event that we will stream from our homes. The next time you see us, we will be sitting live in a studio. I'll still be wearing colorful shirts. I don't know if Danya's going to be wearing a t-shirt, but we'll probably get him into something a little bit more formal.
Yeah, they'll try.
Yeah, they'll try. I don't know if they're going to succeed, but this is it. 8 players remain, $200,000 for first. This is the highest single individual first place prize of any event in 2022. We will see you all in a few weeks in Toronto. And that's it, Danya. This has been great, and I think we're out. We're signing off.
been a wild ride. We are indeed. We'd like to thank everybody in the chat on Twitch and on YouTube for supporting your favorite player. The energy has been phenomenal all throughout the CGC. This wouldn't be possible without the chat. Our sponsor, Brave, will be joining us all the way through to Toronto. And of course, our incredibly hardworking Chess.com team for their amazing work. And in particular, our producers, Ala, and our producer today, Big, for their just tireless efforts to make these broadcasts as flawless, as smooth as they are, and make our jobs as easy as they are. So thank you, everybody. And for now, International Master Levy Rosman, Grandmaster Daniel Nerditsky bidding you goodbye from the online portion of the Chess.com Global Championship presented by Brave. We will see you at the start of November in Toronto for the Final 8. Goodbye.